From Griffin Stadium in St. Paul, SPNN presents St. Paul City Conference football. Tonight's game features two teams with contrasting styles. Highland Park is set to unleash an all-out air attack with a new passing-oriented offense. Their opponent, the hard-hitting St. Paul Central Minutemen. They'll counter with some old-fashioned power football. It's an intriguing matchup, and it's all coming to you live next on SPNN.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello again, everyone. Todd Johnson along with Coley McDonough. One of the big stories tonight, the Highland Park offense. They're going to go with the spread offense. And Coley, let's talk about the spread offense. We've seen it implemented in the collegiate level very successfully in some cases. What about here in the St. Paul City Conference? Can it work at this level?
Well, Todd, I think it can work. It's really crucial that the individuals that are participating, the quarterbacks, wide receivers, have a firm understanding of what exactly they're supposed to do. I talked to Coach Zychek. He said they run mainly three-step drops, so things are pre-snap read, meaning the quarterback makes a decision as to what to do at the line of scrimmage. The hard part is in terms of picking up blitzes and that kind of thing. It makes it difficult. It's also Highland Park's first year doing this. I think after talking to Mr. Zychek, he indicated that they're very, very committed to this offense and that it's going to take them and their program a little bit of time to learn it. But you know what? If you commit yourself to something, I think that they'll be able to be successful with it.
Well, on the other side of the field tonight, the Central Minutemen are coming off an opening week loss, 29-3 to Johnson. And head coach Scotty Howell really wants to get back on the field and put that game behind them. They want to get off to a big start.
Well, yeah, I think Central has very high expectations, and rightfully so. They have a lot of excellent athletes. They're coming off a 5-2 season last year where they had an excellent football season, and they lost some key guys. But, you know, Central's a tradition-rich school in football, and Scotty Howell gets his kids ready to play. And, you know, you have a tough one like they did against Johnson, and Johnson's a good team too. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to get back on the field.
Well, for more on today's game, we're going to send it down to Kwame McDonald.
All right. As you can see, we're with a cool, calm, and collected cheerleaders from Highland Park. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kwame. Looks like he's having some fun on the sidelines. Our game has just begun, and Highland Park kicked off to Central, and the Minutemen will start on their 42-yard line. Todd Johnson along with Coley McDonough. Coley, welcome up in the booth. This, of course, is your first season up here after being on the sidelines at Arlington. How's it feel?
It definitely feels different, Todd, but it feels great. I'm really excited to be here. I'm looking forward to the football game.
Well, we should have a great matchup tonight. Central will start out 1st and 15 now from the 37-yard line out of the I formation. They're going to keep it on the ground at James Paris Edwards, but not much running room there. He is wrapped up. Fine tackle that time by number 54, Colin Powers.
Highland Park comes out in a 4-4 classic style, and Central in their normal eye power situation. They're going to try to run it at you. I talked to Scotty Howell before the game. Said he had to solidify his run game because O'Connell and Hunkins aren't there anymore. And they had a very pass-oriented offense last year, and they need to make a little adjustment this year.
2nd down and 15 from the 37. No gain on that last play. One wide receiver to the left, and again, they give it on the ground. This is Raheem Shabazz. Gets a good yardage forward, and he is brought down that time by number 3 for the Highland Scots. That's Dominic Bellamy.
Hey, that was one heck of a run. That was a smash right up in there. I tell you what, that's getting after it. That's giving the ball to the running back and him having his eyes in the hole and running over somebody.
That'll bring about 3rd and 9 from the 42-yard line. And we should mention that Central, the home team, in their red uniforms with black pants, and the Highland Scots in their road white with red pants. And first 3rd down of the game, 3rd and 9, one wide receiver to the right. Luke Garafola looking for his first throw of the game over the middle to Simons, and he couldn't hang on to the ball. Pretty good coverage that time by Chris Brown for Highland Park, and that'll bring up a punting situation for the Central Minutemen. And you see early on, Coley, they want to get the ball to Eric Simons. He's their big-time player.
Well, I tell you what, I don't blame him. I mean, you look at the size of that kid. I know he's been recruited or being recruited by Michigan, Michigan State, University of Minnesota. He's a big-time player. You have players like that, and I know very well, as having been a coach, you got to get those guys the football.
10 men on the line for Highland Park, and they are going to try to go for a block early on here. They wanted this to be an all-out attack defense, even on special teams. And here's the kick, and it is nearly blocked. And the ball bounces to about the 40-yard line. Boy, I'll tell you what, Bellamy came right in there. And
boy, I don't know how he didn't get that, Todd.
Yeah. Number 44, Cortez Berry, just barely got that ball off. And we're going to see a lot of go-for-broke play, I think, tonight from the Highland Scots.
Well, and I think it's important, Todd, for them to get their first touchdown. I know that, in talking to their coaching staff, they're making an adjustment. Not only is Mr. Zychek in his first year, but they're changing what they're going to do offensively.
Well, here's our first look at the spread offense. They're going to go with 3 wide receivers to the left. Here's a quick pass off to the right side, and it's caught by Deem. And Deem is wrestled down. Pretty good coverage that time. Raheem Shabazz in there early for Central. And as you said in the open, Coley, a lot of quick steps, a lot of quick drops, quick screens off to the right.
Well, and I think it's essential that they pick up a couple of first downs early. In that particular play, it was just a quick swing to Diem, and they need to get him the ball. He is one heck of a football player. He's got to touch the ball 12 to 15 times a game.
Joe Kubazeski in at quarterback. They're going to rotate quarterbacks between he and Mark Mayer. They pitch it out to Deem. He's got some running room around the right side. Deem to midfield, and he is pushed out of bounds at the 49-yard line. So there they keep the ball on the ground, and Deem made some pretty good yardage.
Well, and to tell you, you go single in the backfield, you would think defensively that would give you an advantage, but they had trips receivers, so that allowed Diem to get outside. I think maybe had he stayed inside just a little bit longer inside that corner, he might have been able to bust it.
Simon Lure on the tackle for Central. That was good for a first down. So Highland getting some confidence early on. Ball spotted right at midfield. And now Mark Mayer is going to operate out of the shotgun. 4 wide receiver. Mayer over the middle, and he's got his man Brown for the first down. Peter Brown to the 28-yard line.
Looked to me like they were in a little cover 4 playing underneath. And he just hit the seam behind the linebacker.
Peter Brown, 6'2", 182-pound senior. You may recall he spent some time at the quarterback position last year and showed good hands there as they get now deeper into Central territory. Deem, the lone setback, and Kubazeski in at quarterback. They're going to rotate these quarterbacks almost on every play. 3 wide receivers to the right. Pitch back goes to Deem. Deem is wrapped up, and he escapes the tackle. Barry had him in the backfield, but he was finally wrapped up that time. Number 19, Devontae Duncans, but not before Deem gained a couple of yards.
Well, and I tell you, you see that's a mistake that high school kids make all the time. When you saw the Central player, Cortez Berry, come in to make the tackle, he went right after the neck. You got to get after the legs. You see on the pitch here on the replay. See how he goes up high? You can't tackle guys as strong as Diem up high. Now he slowed him down, and the rest of his teammates made the play. Need to go down low and make that play for a loss of yardage.
Second down from the 29-yard line. Diamond formation to the left. Passes off to Deem. Deem shakes a tackler and actually does not escape the tackler. And he is brought down that time by number 22, Adrian Perryman, a flag on the play.
Great play by Perryman. I tell you what, Deem tried to give him a stiff arm, and he fought through it and was able to hang on until a host of Central Minutemen came to his aid.
I thought right there that he escaped it, but he hung on by the ankles and pulled him down.
That was a great play by Perryman.
And we had a holding on that last play, so they're going to move it backwards. Coley, Chris Deem, really a standout player, a 5'9", 165-pound senior. He led the team last year in rushing with 900 yards, but you'll see him on defense. He also had 9 interceptions last year. He's really an all-around player.
He is absolutely an all-around player. And, when you have guys like that, and particularly in programs as successful as Highland Park has been, that's why players like Diem.
2nd and 16, this time 5 wide receivers. And there's some movement on the right side. It looked like the right tackle stood up
a little bit early.
And they were going to get him for the illegal procedure.
I think that's another element to that the spread offense kind of adds, is that it's a timing thing. And the linemen have to get used to that timing too. You're going on quick counts. You're going on, first sound to try to, catch the defense sleeping.
2nd and 21. Again, they're going to go with 4 wide receivers on this set. And again, same play, and the right tackle stood up, and they're going to get a legal procedure again.
Okay, I think they need to maybe change the play, huh?
Well, like you said, this is a new offense. It's going to take them some time to get used to it, and timing is everything. It's early in the season. as you know, it just takes time to get used to this.
It certainly does. Well, and, maybe third time's the charm here. It'll be interesting to see if Coach Zychek makes a change or if he goes with the same play here.
2nd down and 26 early in the first quarter. We are scoreless. Highland Park and Central from Griffin Stadium. Mayer back to pass. Little screen over the middle. He's got Deem, and Deem cannot get away from Raheem Shabazz. Fine tackle that time by Shabazz at the 45-yard line. Shabazz a little slow in getting up.
I tell you, it was too bad on that. I think Deem was a little quick because, as you see here, it's a screen designed to go up the middle, but he's already past his lineman. So there was nobody to block for him. Now, I don't know if that was Deem moving a little quick or the lineman moving a little slow or a combination of the two.
Well, in any case, it'll bring up 3rd down and 23 yards to go. 5 wide receivers, 3 to the left, 2 to the right. And Kubizeski in at quarterback, looking for Brown, and he's got him over the middle. Brown to the 10-yard line. Finally tackled that time by number 10, Simon Lure, but a good-looking pass. And, Coley, that looked like the same play that they completed a few plays earlier.
It was exactly the same play, and they were in cover 3, and the safety never made it over. You notice number 11 there. He occupied the corner on the left side. Brown just ran a seam pattern right up the hash mark. The safety didn't come over in time, and he hit him with a nice pass.
Well, a big play, 3rd and long, and they complete that one. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 10-yard line. So Highland on the move, and Mark Mayer's going to call a timeout here, and maybe not a bad idea. Make sure everybody's on the same page deep in the zone.
You definitely don't want to get yourself in a situation where it's 2nd and 26 now that you got 1st down on the 9. I wonder, is it possible to take another look at that play? Because you can look at, as you looked at the defensive backfield for Central, they were in a cover 3. They were in a cover 2 or the cover 4 the last time that they hit Brown in that. When you're in the cover 3, that safety has to roll over to the strong side, and that's what the spread offense kind of gives them, is that safety doesn't know which way to go because you have multiple receivers on both sides of the ball. Cover 3 is tough to play with that many receivers.
Well, last week, Coley, Central coaches were happy with the fact that they shut down the Johnson Governors running game, but they had some problems stopping the passing attack.
Well, and it's actually kind of, well, not funny, but, different about that is Central has always had very, very good skill players. Their defensive backfield is young this year, and Scotty Howell has talked about the fact that those guys are going to mature as the season goes on. And Johnson, on the other hand, they're generally a running team. The likes of Tommy Reynolds and Thomas DePay and all those guys. And now their new coach, Coach Rebelke, I think that was the last time Johnson threw the ball well, was when he was playing quarterback, and now he's the coach.
Well, they'll get a chance to try and stop him here. 1st down from the 9-yard line. Mark Mayer at quarterback, and he looks left, throws left, and it is intercepted in the end zone. Perryman intercepts it. He's down the right sidelines. Perryman to the 30, to the 40-yard line. Oh, boy, a big, big play by the Central defense. Adrian Perryman comes up with the pick, and a big, big momentum shift right now in the favor of the Central Minutemen.
I tell you, that was a nice pick by Perryman. He read that very well. At the same time, maybe not a great decision on the quarterback's part. Looked like there was 3 defenders there and only 1 receiver. We talked about it earlier. In that spread offense, you're going to have pre-snap reads. I think he may have made an error in his pre-snap read. That probably wasn't where he wanted to go. I don't know. Mayer was the quarterback on that one.
Well, Central going to try to take advantage of this now. They get a 1st down at the 39-yard line. Luke Garafola leads the Central attack out of the I formation. And Perryman, who just made the big play on defense, comes in motion to the top of your screen. Pitch back to Edwards around the left side. He's got blockers in front of him and gets a couple of yards wrapped up that time by number
Josh
3.
Jones.
Jones and Bellamy in on the stop for Highland.
Jones made a nice play from his outside linebacker, shedded that block off the tight end, was able to step up and make the play.
And, Coley, we're going to need to clarify, we got 2 Joneses in, and they're twins, Jason Jones and Joshua Jones. And just to make things difficult for us, they're 43 and 44.
Yeah, go figures, huh? Well, we can just say the Jones brothers.
3 yards on that last pickup from the far hash mark. Again, out of the I formation, Central. And the give goes to the fullback, and he gets a couple of yards up the middle. That's Tremaine Lindsay, and he had some pretty good yardage.
Well, I tell you what, it looks like Central is going to try to establish control of the football. You saw from Highland Park's offense, they're certainly can get up and down the field in a hurry, and maybe it's up to Central to slow the game down a little bit.
How often, Coley, when you were coaching, do you like to maybe go for the big strike right after a big play like that interception?
That's something that, a lot of coaches do. My offensive coordinator liked to throw the ball all the time. I had to keep the leashes on him. But, no, that's definitely something to take advantage of momentum.
And again, the give goes to the fullback, and he bursts forward, and it looks like he's got the first down.
Tell you what, my kind of momentum is 2, 3, 4 first downs in a row and then a touchdown. That'll take momentum away.
Well, that is a first down. Tremaine Lindsay, 5'10", 220-pound bruiser, and he's also a very effective blocker in the backfield, and he's gotten a couple of carries in a row. 5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. You're watching live coverage of St. Paul City Conference football. Todd Johnson along with Coley McDonough. We are scoreless here in the first quarter, and Central on the march at midfield. Garafola gives to Paris Edwards. Edwards is wrapped up, again that time Dominic Bellamy on the stop. As Central going to keep things on the ground, as you say.
I tell you what, and if Bellamy makes it, I would tell you what, that was a touchdown if Bellamy doesn't make that tackle, because he was going to bounce that outside. The safety had come up. If you look at it here, he doesn't make that tackle. There's nobody out there. That would have been 6 for Central. Nice play by Bellamy.
5 yards on that last pickup. As Central go 2nd and 5, 2 wide receivers out of the I formation. And Garafola, play action pass. Looking to the right, got his man downfield, and it is incomplete, just off the fingertips of number 9, Jonathan Berry.
Ooh, Berry's got to come up with that one. That was a nice ball by Garafola, and he had his man beat by a couple of steps. You watch on the replay here, he couldn't quite pick it up, but that's tough. He'd definitely like to have that one back.
Well, the coaches saw the single coverage, and they may go back to that later on.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the responsibility of the guys up in the booth to recognize those types of things as coaches, and then pick your spots and when you want to go back.
It'll bring up a 3rd and 5. Backs are split behind Garafola, and he drops back to pass. Off to the right. Pass intended for Simons was wide, and that'll bring up a 4th and 5.
I tell you what, that's a situation where Garafola had in his mind that he was going to Simons before he took the snap, because had he gone to the slant was wide open. That's young quarterbacks getting their feet under them, learning how to execute their offenses.
As you've mentioned, Garafola played under Nate Hunkins last season, so this is really his first chance to take the reins, and this is a big year for him.
Absolutely.
Cortez Berry is standing at his 43-yard line, nearly had the last one blocked. Low snap from center, and this one is blocked, and it's recovered at midfield by the Highland Scots. Looked like number 12 for Highland Park, Rashad Turner, got in there, and we mentioned that Highland Park's going to go for blocks, and they almost blocked the first one, and they came right in on this one.
Well, and I tell you what, I think what happens is the punter was a little nervous from the first one, and he actually dropped the snap and then tried to get it away. We try to tell our guys, if you drop the snap, just eat the ball, run and get what you can, but it's a tough call when you're out there.
Well, Highland Park gets a big break from the 49-yard line, and let's see if they go for the big strike early on. And this is Kubazeski rolling to his left, looking downfield for Brown, and he's just overthrown. Pretty good coverage that time by number 44, Cortez Berry.
Great coverage. It looks like Central's going to an umbrella. I can't say that I blame him because Brown's hurt him a couple of times already in the first quarter.
Well, we talked about Central's opening loss. Highland had the unenviable task of opening up against Cretin-Durham Hall. They fell 49-0, so they really look at this game as their first game to really test their offense.
Hey, been there, done that. It happened to us last year. We lost 56-0. You know what you say then? You say, we're done with Cretin. Now we can move on to the rest of our schedule.
There's a little delay to Deem.
Nice
Deem
run.
To the 45, to the 40, and he gets a first down wrapped up by Perryman. That was a well-executed play, a little delay, and Deem found the seam.
Tell you what, that was a little a la Mr. Heller. He liked those. The delays and the counters. Big on the counters. He used to kill me with the counter.
Well, that's a first down for Highland Park as they try to keep the Central defense off balance. And here you go. How many wide receivers do we have out here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Kubazeski better get the ball off quickly. There's not many guys up front to block for him. And again, one step drop to Deem. Flag is down. Deem looking for a block. and he gets to the 35-yard line, but a flag
I
fell very early.
I got to bet that that's an illegal formation. They probably had either not enough guys on the line of scrimmage. Oh, no, they got a false start. Boy, when you got 4 guys out there, you got to kind of know who can be on the line of scrimmage and who can't.
Well, obviously, Highland struggling early on with some of their formations. We've seen a couple of illegal procedures. We've seen the tackles coming up early. If you're a Highland coach, this obviously isn't something you want to see here early on.
No, definitely not. And, teams generally make their biggest improvement between week 1 and week 2. And, I didn't see the Highland-Cretan game. Obviously, that's a situation where you're in a tough spot going into the game. So this may be the game that they got to work their kinks out.
1st and 15 from the 42-yard line, 3:26 to go first quarter. Mark Mayer at quarterback. Looks left, throws, and it's through the hands of Tim Cow. Cow would like to have that one back.
Yeah, you got to come down with that ball. I mean, it's tough, but if it goes through your hands, you got to close them, give them the window, make the catch. Those are big plays, Second, now it's going to be, 2nd and 15. It would have been nice to get some of the penalty yardage back.
Coley, how difficult is it at this level for a high school quarterback to be able to look off his receivers? That is, not look directly at the guy you're throwing the ball to.
It's terribly difficult, and it really, Todd, comes down to experience. The more you play, the better you get at it.
And Kubizeski is going to keep it himself. Quarterback draw, pretty good-looking play, and Kubizeski is near the first down. Cortez Berry gets him in the backfield. That was a design play.
That was a great call. That was an absolutely great call. And that's what the spread offense will give you in terms of the running game. You're not going to get the line them up and smash mouth 3-4 yards of crack, but you're going to be able to do things like this, a little dump to diem, the little delay, the quarterback draw. And if you have good athletes like Highland Park does, you can be successful executing this offense.
That'll bring up a 3rd and 2, and Kubizeski's got some pretty good wheels. He ran well against Cretan, although in that game he may have been running for his life.
Absolutely. Well, quarterbacks are always running for their life.
And a little fake to the handoff to the left side, and they're going for Brown down the sidelines and just off his hands. Boy, you talk about wanting one back. I know Peter Brown wants that one.
Holy cow.
Nice throw by Mayer right on the money, and Brown just couldn't hang on.
I tell you what, Todd, the coach in me kind of, I got to cringe on this one. Should be 7-0 Highland Park. You got to have that ball.
May have just taken his eyes off the ball for a moment, and that was just enough to distract him, and the pass was incomplete, and that'll bring up a 4th and 2 from the 28-yard line. And if you're Highland Park, you want to go for it this deep in territory and 0-0 game.
Absolutely. My philosophy was always anytime you're inside about the 35, unless you got an outstanding punter that can kick it, out at the 1, which is rare.
And another flag, and let's see what the call is this time.
This might be a delay. And you know what? I think I'd still go for it. Not to mention the fact the Highlands had success, and they have multiple options here. They can run the ball, they can throw it, either down the field, a little dump to diem. I mean, that's who I'd give the ball to. You need 6 yards, 7 yards now. That's the guy that's got to have the ball. Same time, Central, they might bring the kitchen sink right now.
4th and 7 from the 34-yard line. And we have another whistle. Let's see, a timeout for Highland Park. And again, not a bad idea. Let's talk about this on the sidelines and make sure we all know which direction we're going.
Yeah, but I think all things being equal, Coach Zychek would have liked to take that timeout 5 yards ago.
Well, we should talk about Dave Zychek. This is his first year as head coach of Highland Park. He's been with the program for 5 years. And what do you think he's going through here in his first season?
Well, I've known David for quite a while, a number of years now, and he has extensive experience as a coach. And, it's really nice to see him finally get a program. And the fact that he's at Highland Park, he comes into a program that's very well established. Coach Heller did a fantastic job with Highland Park for a number of years. So he gets to come into, a very solid program. And now he's going to take some things and he's going to change a little bit. He's going to make it his a little bit. And I think that's what he has to do. I talked to some of the kids on the field before the game, and, many of the things traditionally that they've done, they continue to do. But every coach is going to add their element, their, persona to their football team.
4th down and 7, and they spread it out again. Kubizeski under pressure, steps up in the pocket, and he will not escape Raheem Shabazz. He brings him down at the 40-yard line, and that's where the Minutemen will take over. Well, just too much pressure up front by Central.
Well, and I think that's the key for them is 1, 2, 3 and throw. And, they're already out of the shotgun, so he's 5 yards deep. He needs to make that pre-snap read and know where he's going, and that's hard. I mean, it's something that the quarterbacks are going to have to learn, and they're going to be much better as the season goes on in making those reads.
2:26 to go first quarter. We are scoreless from Griffin Stadium in St. Paul. Todd Johnson along with Coley McDonough. And we have a pretty good ball game.
And as it always is.
Luke Garafola from the 40-yard line. Looking downfield, and he's got his man open, and it is just deflected at the last moment. A fine deflection that time by number 32, Ricky Lee. Pass intended for number 9, Jonathan Berry.
Lee just gets a piece of this, and I think it still goes off the hands. Oh, he didn't get a piece of it. That was a drop, Todd. He dove to try to get it, and that was another drop. We've seen receivers dropping balls here. It's kind of there might be some points on the board.
Well, maybe they know it's on SPNN, and there's a little bit of that
nervousness.
They know there are a lot of people watching out there on TV.
Well, that's all right. You know what? Everybody drops him. Moss drops him too. Of course, he makes $70 million, but
that's correct. Man in motion to the near side, and the give goes to Edwards. Flag is down. Edwards off the left side, and tackled that time by Peter Brown. And the flags are starting to rain down here a little bit.
I've noticed that. I've seen a couple of games already this fall in the St. Paul City Conference, and I've noticed a lot of flags. And I don't know exactly what that's due to. There isn't an official strike in the St. Paul City Conference, is there? We don't have the replacement officials.
Well, in this case, they're moving the ball back 5 yards. Whoever makes the call, and it looks like a motion procedure on Central, and it'll bring up a 2nd and 15.
Is that the Harding, Humboldt, or excuse me,
that
Harding,
might have been
Arlington?
the all-time record.
Yeah, there was 30. 21 on Arlington.
Berry is split wide to the right side, and again, Garafola going to try to get something going for the Minutemen. 2nd and 15 from the 35. He drops back to pass over the middle, and pass intended for Berry, and he is knocked down, and he'll be slow in getting up. Number 5, Darren Hubbard on the stop.
He took a shot, and you know what? He knew it was coming. We always try to tell our receivers, you're going to take that hit. He took the hit, didn't he? And unfortunately, you got to just try to hang on to that football. It's tough. It's tough going across the middle. There's a lot of receivers that don't want to do that. And he's tough for getting back up and going right back into the huddle.
And he's getting back to the huddle saying, Luke, throw it a little bit lower.
Lower, yep. Don't hang me out.
There you go. 3rd down and 15 for the Minutemen. And play sort of slowing down here a little bit after a couple of big plays early on. And Berry, who just took that hit, lines up as the lone wide receiver to the right. 2 tight end formation. Edwards, Shabazz in the backfield. And Garafola rolling to his left, looking downfield. He's got Perryman wide open at the 20 to the 10, 5, touchdown Central.
Holy.
Adrian Perryman is wide open, and the Central Minutemen get on the board first.
There had to have been a blown coverage there. I don't know if the safety didn't roll over, or we have to try to take a look at it, but there was nobody around him.
There you see Garafola rolled to his left, and Perryman just found himself wide open, and he goes in for the touchdown. And the Minutemen on top 6-0.
I'm thinking Peter Brown was probably looking at Simons, which certainly isn't a bad thing to do. You got to keep an eye on him, but you also got to keep an eye on Perryman, who got behind the corner.
And guess what? Another flag. Number 14, Joshua Scott, 5'10", 155-pound freshman kicker, in for the Minutemen for the extra point. And I saw a flag fall, and looks like, are they going to just pick it up and wave that flag off?
I don't know exactly what.
I may have just heard too many men on the field.
Well, you don't want to do that.
Coley, we talked before about what needs to happen from week 1 to week 2. I mean, there's a lot of kinks, as you said, you got to work out. I mean, traditionally, this is really the game where you have to step things up.
Absolutely, Todd. And the part of it is, where you get your kinks. Is the fact you got guys that have never started a varsity football game, and for people who know high school football, that first time that you walk out on that field and it's, you're underneath the lights and, there's people in the stands that are paying to come and watch you play, and then you're in a situation where you're on television, there's butterflies for those kids, and they're nervous.
And we need to remind ourselves, we're talking about 16, 17-year-old kids here.
Absolutely. And you know what? Football is not the be-all, end-all. It is, it's a vehicle to try to help kids grow and develop. It's something that is, essentially important in our high schools to have athletic programs, but athletic programs like in St. Paul that promote positive things, that, kids are doing things that they're supposed to be doing.
Well, a timeout is on the field. Once again, you are watching live coverage of St. Paul City Conference football, and we are now ready for the conversion, and they're going to go for 2. And Perryman, who caught that touchdown pass, comes in motion to the top of your screen. And the give goes to Shabazz, bowling his way forward, and let's see if he got in. Looks like he did, and they do. They give it to him. The conversion is good. Raheem Shabazz plows his way forward, and Central takes a 8-0 lead.
Pretty smart decision by Coach Howell. If you only got to go a yard and a half.
Right.
You give it to that big fullback, and you should be able to get a yard and a half. So we got about a $1:39 left in the first, and Central draws first blood, 8-0. It'd be interesting to see how the Highland Park offense responds.
Well, Central also coming this game, been a little bit banged up. They have a running back, Bartez Bernard, who hasn't seen any action this year. He's got a shoulder problem, and been a lot of nicks and bruises here early on in the St. Paul City Conference.
Well, and particularly for Central, they're missing several guys that really play an important role. Darren Hubbard's out. Coach Howell talked a little discipline problem there. Justin Rockwell, he's ruptured cyst on his kidney. Matter of fact, he's still in the hospital. Justin, I hope everything's all right. Coach Howell said, he's okay. He's going to be fine. Hopefully he'll be back in uniform in not too long. Noah Grange is the offensive guard, twisted ankle. Don't know if he's going to play. They're banged up for it only being the second game of the year.
Scott to kick off, and yet another whistle.
Is there another yellow hanky out there?
Well, the official may have been counting the number of Minutemen on the field. I counted 11. So
I got 11.
Let's see what the whistle was for.
Every now and then you got to try to sneak 12 out there just to keep the officials on their toes. I never did that, Todd.
Well, next week, Central doesn't get any easier for them. They are here at Griffin Stadium against Cretin-Durham Hall, a game we will be televising next week. So another reason to have some success this week and get into the win column here early on.
Absolutely, and they definitely got to get their big guys healthy and back on the field.
Very short kickoff at the 40-yard line, down the right sidelines into Central territory.
Josh Jones, I believe it was.
Joshua Jones, one of the upbacks, and very short kickoff that time by Joshua Scott, and Central gets pretty good field position here with 1:32 to go in the first quarter.
And I think if you're Highland Park, you've gone, almost 5 quarters of varsity football without scoring a point. At the same time, you've shown that you can move the ball. You've shown that your offense can be effective. It would be huge for Highland Park to get something on the board and respond to Central's first score.
Mark Mayer from the 42-yard line, 3 wide receivers to the left. Quick step up in the pocket, over the middle, and he's got Brown. Brown into the secondary to the 23-yard line. Again, Peter Brown finding success, just cutting right through the middle of the Central defense.
Well, I tell you what, they went to man coverage there, and when you're in man coverage, you cannot allow that man. You look at, he gets the release to the inside. They wanted to bang him, which is good. You got to bang him, but you got to force the release to the outside. Brown got inside, and he's wide open with nothing but a safety.
That's a first down for the Highland Scots from the 24-yard line. Again, 3 wide receivers to the left. Kubizeski in. Little delay to Chris Deem. And Deem, not much running room there.
They snuffed that one out.
And he is wrapped up that time. Chris Gustafson in on that tackle. That'll bring up a second down.
You know what they call that play, Todd? That's a keep him honest play. Every now and then you just got to give it to the fullback, keep him honest.
And they need to do that here with the spread offense, throwing on virtually every down. But they've done a good job mixing it up.
They have.
And they have kept Central honest. 2nd and 10. Mayer looks left, throws over the middle, and it is caught by Brown at the 5. Touchdown, Highland Park. There he does it again. Peter Brown cuts right through the middle, in for the touchdown, a 24-yard touchdown throw. Mayer to Brown, and it's 8-6.
Tell you what, again, now they went back to the zone, but the safety came high, and you got to finish on that. That was a great play by Brown, excellent throw. And Highland Park draws within 2. And you know what, Todd, they did exactly what I said they needed to do. They got their first touchdown. They're gaining confidence. Extra point's good.
Dan Stern drills it, and the Highland Scots answer the call with a 24-yard touchdown throw. Mark Mayer to Peter Brown, and we have a ball game.
Yes, we do. 8-7. First quarter just about over. And you know what? I think now the teams felt themselves out for the first quarter. You know, hopefully we can move into the second quarter and then into the second half with fewer penalties, obviously. And you also notice the receivers are catching the ball now.
Well, Coley, you just mentioned a moment ago they hadn't scored a touchdown in 4.5, 5 quarters. Now, how big of a boost is this to their confidence?
It's huge, absolutely huge. You know, I used to have dreams as a coach that I'd go a whole season and not score a touchdown. It's just something that eventually it's going to happen, but you just want to get it over with. You want to get that first one. And, I say congratulations to Highland Park. Coach Zychek, you just got your first touchdown. You're in the game. It's a great feeling for the kids.
26 seconds on the clock here in the first quarter. Kind of a long first quarter, actually, with all the penalties and whistles.
Indeed.
And the momentum now shifting to the Highland Scots, and we'll see if they can put a defensive stop on Central and put some more points on the scoreboard.
Well, and I think what's really important for Central right now is to control the football. We're coming to the end of the first quarter, 8-7. They hit a big one. Highland Park responded with a big one. I think that Central needs to slow the game down.
Well, Dan Stern set to kick off. And a guy you've heard his name quite a bit tonight, Adrian Perryman, is deep for the Central Minutemen.
Guy ran from the end zone to kick that off.
And Perryman from the 10-yard line, looking for a block at the 15, shakes the tackle to the 20, the 25, 30, around the right side, and he's finally knocked out of bounds, but not before a pretty good run.
That was a nice return. The contained man for Highland Park got a hold of Perryman, but wasn't able to bring him down or hold him up long enough.
You never want to get knocked out of bounds by the kicker either, do you?
Oh, I tell you what, depends. I think Humboldt 2 years ago had Ruben Garcia. I think he went 6'6", 280. And he knocked Brandon Johnson down a couple times, and that was, you notice right here, C5, how he let him get inside there. He came to the level ball and he broke down, but he didn't follow the ball.
From the 46-yard line is where the Minutemen take over, and the give goes to Paris Edwards, and Paris Edwards gets a nice block and a nice pickup that time. Brought down by one of the twin linebackers, Jason Jones, number 43, 5'10", 149-pounder. But
Again,
a 7-yard pickup.
Exactly what Central needs to do. They need to go in the eye. They need to pound the ball at Highland Park.
And that's the end of the first quarter from Griffin Stadium in St. Paul. Our score, Central on top, 8-7. Been a very entertaining ball game so far. The Minutemen got on the scoreboard first with a 35-yard touchdown pass to Adrian Perryman from Luke Garafola. And the Highland Scots answered with a 24-yard touchdown pass of their own, Mark Mayer to Peter Brown.
Yeah, and I think, both teams offensively have had some success. Both teams offensively have made their share of mistakes. It's going to be interesting how both teams settle down and who establishes, which offensive set. I think if Central's able to control the football with the run, that's going to upset the momentum that Highland Park has established. At the same time, if they're not able to do that, I think Highland Park's going to be able to continue to exploit the weak cornerbacks, the young cornerbacks, the inexperienced cornerbacks, that Central has.
7 yards on that last pickup. It'll be 2nd and 3 from the 47-yard line. And again, the give goes to the tailback, and he is met right at the line of scrimmage. John Mishik on the tackle for Highland Park.
Hey, that was a hard-nosed play right there by Mishik. He just shed that block and stuffed that dive. You know what? That's the defensive line. That's what you got to have right there. And you got to have those guys, those hungry guys, those guys that, they don't get, no one talks about them during the game. They're all saying, say my name, say my name. And you know what? Mr. Mishik, that's how you get your name said on SPNN.
Mishik, a big kid, 6 foot, 258-pound junior. He started every game as a sophomore last year, so he's got some good experience up front. And a little delay to the tailback, and he is tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. Number 54, Colin Powers, tripped him up in the backfield.
That brings up 4th down. It'll be interesting to see. Central has had a little difficulty with their punt. They're on the 48. You know what? I'll tell you what. This is a spot. This is a good spot. 4th and 4, 48-yard line, maybe a fake. What do you think?
Well, let's see. Cortez Berry is standing back as if he is going to punt the ball. And, boy, he's standing pretty far back. And a good snap from center. And Berry gets the kick off, and a nice spiraling kick. Empress Watson watching it at the 20-yard line. You better watch out. And it finally will be down at the 21-yard line. So a nice kick that time by Berry. And the Highland Scots will take over with 10:27 to go here in the second quarter. You're watching live coverage of St. Paul City Conference football. Central on top 8-7 here in week number 2 of the 2001 season. And we should point out, you've seen a graphic on the screen before, this game will be replayed this Saturday, September 8th at 6 p.m. Sunday the 9th at noon. And again on Wednesday the 12th at 7:30. And Kubazeski back to pass under pressure from Simons. He spins away, but he cannot get away from the second man, and he does go down, number 19.
Great play.
Devontae Duncan's on the stop.
Great play by Duncans. I tell you what, here's the key. Simons is the key. He puts the pressure on and stops Kubazeski from getting rid of the ball, because Central went back with that man-to-man coverage. If they can get pressure up front, if their front seven can pressure the 2 quarterbacks from Highland Park, they can play the man coverage. If he has time to throw against that man coverage, there's going to be some open receivers for Highland Park.
Mark Mayer now in at quarterback. Steps up in the pocket. He's going for Brown, and it is incomplete.
Tell you what, I don't know if, oh no, that's Cow, isn't it?
Yeah, 11 Cow. It looked like 21 Brown, but either way, good coverage for Central.
Yeah, great coverage by Central. The Cow kind of slowed up a little bit. I don't know if it was going to be a stop-and-go route, but Mayer unleashed it. Mayer's had a good game so far, 5 of 7, 79 yards, a touchdown. Made the one bad decision, had the interception in the end zone, but he's looked very good. I've been impressed.
Mayer, a 6'3", 173-pound senior. And this is his second year. Shared the quarterback duties last year with Peter Brown. But Kubazeski now in at quarterback. He's a junior and pumps it to the right, throws to the left. Well-executed play to Deem. Deem gets a block, and he'll still be short of the first down. But, again, nice setup play. Fake to the right, through to the left.
Yeah, and you know what? The conception of the play was beautiful. I think you got to get a little bit more of a sustained block. As you look over here, you get your lineman on, you get big on big, 66, Mishik gets out there and kind of gets a pad on 2. But you got to sustain that block, and ultimately what you got to do is just run with them. You don't have to knock them down. You just got to run with them, stay with them, sustain that block, and let Diem get a little more room. Looks like Central's going to come after it here.
Central, 10 men on the line. Brown gets the kick off, a high, short kick, and they're going to let this one bounce. And Cow grabs it in midair at the 43-yard line, and Central going to have very good field position here in the second quarter.
Well, and I tell you, now the defenses are starting to assert themselves a little bit, and, that's good to see. That's what you're going to see in a football game like this. It'll be interesting to see if Central now maybe tries to get the ball to Simons a little bit. He hasn't touched the ball yet. and he's their big gun. You know, they got to find. You know, I know Coach Williams, my offensive coordinator, would be running probably a middle screen right about now. Get Simons the ball.
Number 89, Eric Simons. He's at the top of your screen. And I know Scott Howell would like to get the ball into the hands of number 89 as well. Out of the I formation. Quick give to the fullback. And he gets into the secondary for a first down and a lot more.
That was
Tremaine Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay, what a great run. That's a fullback. I mean, you watch this guy run the ball right here. He doesn't try to move. He doesn't try to juke. He just tries to run you over. That's a fullback right there. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that guy, just running guys over.
And I think the coaches will tell you that's what you call north-south running. He didn't try to move east or west at all.
I love fullbacks. I love that guy right there, Lindsay. That's a fullback.
5'10", 225-pounder.
That's what you're looking for.
Two wide receivers to the right. Out of the I formation, they give it right back to Lindsay, and he is wrapped up in the backfield. Charles Babcock on the tackle for the Highland Scots.
Well, I tell you, and the thing about fullbacks too is, you know, they might only gain a yard on a play, but you know what? They're going to smash into you. Every single time they run the ball, they're going to smash into you. And when they're lead blocking for that tailback, they're going to smash into you. That kid runs the ball hard.
Picked up one on that last play, bringing up a 2nd down and 9. Barry split wide to the right side. Simons, the tight end, lined up on the right as well. Pitch back goes to Edwards. Edwards looking for a block, and the ball is loose, and let's see who's got it. It looks like the Scots have it, and they do.
I think Mishik recovered. Is that 66?
Looks like 49.
49. Jose Munoz.
Jose Munoz, and Munoz may have stripped it as well. Well, no, there's the strip.
Strip
Brown
was by Brown,
it.
yeah. And I'll tell you what, here's the problem. He was carrying the ball with his inside hand. You got to carry the ball away so you don't run yourself into that situation, that very situation right there. Edwards comes up with a turnover. You know, Central's poised to go in and score, take a big lead, and they get the turnover, and I'll see what Highland Park can do with it.
Boy, Peter Brown's had a heck of a game.
He's all over the field.
Mayer off to the left, and the ball is caught at the 30, and a first down.
Cortez Berry went for the pick on that.
Rashad Turner on the catch.
Turner makes the catch, but Berry was going for the pick, and I tell you what, that was close. And that could have been 6 the other way. But you know what? You gamble like that and you lose, and this is a good position in the field to make a gamble like that. You know, but if you lose that gamble, then what's going to happen is they're going to pick up some decent yardage.
We have a timeout on the field, 7:27 to go. Our score is 8-7, and play is now set to resume. That was a first down to Rashad Turner, 6'1", 200-pound junior. And again, a flag. Well, there's a good matchup on the line. Eric Simons, 89, and we've talked about him. He's lined up against Big Jeff Sunsmo, 6'6", 230. And Sunsmo played both offense and defense last week, and coaches want to keep him, develop him on the offensive line. And they think he has a future playing college football.
Well, I tell you what, he's not the only Sunsmo to have a college future. I coached his oldest brother, Chris, at Humboldt. His other brother was a standout here. You know, the Sunsmo family, they're offensive linemen all the way across the board.
And Kubazeski calls his own number and gets a couple of yards. 55, Paul Menard in on the tackle for Central. 6'1", 220-pound junior middle linebacker. It'll bring up a 2nd and 13 to go. 6:38 and counting in the first half here from Griffin Stadium in St. Paul.
Well, I think what Highland Park has to look for now is to try to determine what the coverages Central's going to run in situations. In terms of now you're looking at 2nd and long. What does Central do 2nd and long? It looks like they're going to go with the man coverage with the one safety.
Mayer pumps once, and he's going for it all, but too far for Rashad Turner.
I tell you what, and the other thing you're looking for is you're looking for the mismatch. You got a linebacker somewhere is going to be on a wide receiver. That's the mismatch that you're looking for. In this particular case, Highland Park was looking for Turner, and he had the linebacker Janish on him. That's a mismatch. That's what they're looking for.
We should mention that this offense was worked by Joe Brandner, who worked at the Hopkins football program. He came over to Highland, and he's one of the architects of this new offense here. And the pass up the middle to Deem, and he's wide open. He puts a move on Barry across midfield, and Deem dances down the sidelines, and Barry comes back to make the tackle, and a flag. That could be a face mask on the tackle.
I'll tell you what else, that's going to be 15 too. You can't use the face mask to bring him down. And again, that goes back to tackling high. You can't tackle high. You look at the replay here. Nice catch by Deem. He puts a move on one guy, stiff arms another guy down the sidelines, and then you got the tackle up high in the face mask by Cortez Berry. But I tell you what, Cortez showed great stay to it. Yeah, because he blew the tackle the first time. Deem made a good move on him. He came back down the field, made the play. Unfortunately, he had the penalty on top of it, but that's a big play for Highland Park.
Well, the play itself was a short pass up the middle of the Deem. There were two receivers right next to each other, and Deem sort of tightrope down the sidelines, and they got some extra yardage at the end. And again, first down from the 16-yard line. Now they line up with three backs behind Mayer, and the give goes off the right side, and not much running room there. Deem, the ball carrier, and Menard on the stop.
What was that? Did Coach Heller come back for a play or what?
3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Oh, Deem's got 4 catches for 49 yards, and I guess I don't know what his rushing stats are at the moment, but again, it's number of touches for guys like that. He's got to touch the ball for Highland Park to be successful. The quarterbacks are doing a good job of distributing the ball. Again, Central hasn't had the pressure up front now. They've had, when Central goes with that man coverage, which is what they're in right now, and you got one guy uncovered right here.
Quick pass off to the left to Brown, and he is
great
just buried.
Tackle.
Adrian Perryman. You talk about guys having big games. How about number 22 for Central, Adrian Perryman? He had the touchdown pass earlier, made some outstanding plays on defense, as you'll see right here. Now that's the kind of tackle you like to teach your kids.
That's exactly how to do it. Great open field tackle. And again, now that wasn't a very good read by the quarterback. If we were to look at that formation, there was a penalty. They had 3 receivers to the right with only 2 defenders and a safety. You got to make that pre-snap read and recognize that uncovered, because Perryman was out there all by himself with the wide out on the left.
Well, here's Perryman's resume so far for tonight. He had the key interception in the end zone. He had a 35-yard touchdown pass, and big plays just like that one.
Yeah, I mean, and it's in high school football, it's very easy to see who the studs are. I mean, it doesn't take long to figure out who the best football players on the field are. And Perryman has definitely asserted himself as one of the best football players on the field.
And he's just a junior. A lot of juniors on both teams. In fact, Highland Park is going with an all-junior offensive line. And while that may create some problems this year as they get used to things, how about things for next year when you have an all-senior offensive line?
I tell you, and that's part of building a program is understanding that you can't have it all right away. And that's difficult for the seniors that are on Highland Park's team, because it's their year. And, it's their year to shine, and certainly Highland Park's going to experience some success. But as far as those younger kids go, they know that's what they're building for. They're building for getting game experience. I know from experience that when those guys have the opportunity to play games under the lights, and now they come back next year, and you know what? They're not nervous. They're not making the mistakes that they're making right now, because they have a handle of their offense. They understand, what it means to go up against Central in a big game in the second week, 8-7 in Central's backyard. They've been there before.
Really, across the St. Paul City Conference, a lot of underclassmen playing. We saw last week in the Central Johnson game, Johnson starting a number of sophomores.
And, I think that's a credit to Coach Plaschko to give those kids an opportunity to play, because that is hard.
Watson and Turner to the right. And Mayer steps up in the pocket, throws over the middle, and it is incomplete. He was looking for Brown, and he had him open for a moment.
He was open for a split second, but overall, good coverage by Central. They had their guys. I think, yeah, I mean, he could have threaded that in there, but he had to get it over the linebacker. That was decent coverage there.
Coley, how do you feel about the rotation of quarterbacks? They're obviously bringing in a new play with the quarterbacks each time.
Well, a couple different schools of thought there.
and maybe I'll go into it after this play.
This will be a 4th down from the 18-yard line. They're going to go for it, 4th and 12. And Kubazeski has time, throws over the middle, and it is incomplete through 2 hands and bounced right off Chris Deem.
Oh.
Boy, that was close. Deem may very well have been shielded by the 2 Central Minutemen, but again, he'd like to have that one. Let's take a look on the replay.
And I think he got a piece of it right here.
Maybe was deflected
just
just
a little
enough.
bit. Oh, that's too bad.
I've seen a number of close calls tonight.
I'll say, going back to your question and referencing bouncing quarterbacks, there's 2 schools of thought there. One is that you have to give your offense some consistency, and you have to have that leadership. You have to have that guy that, when the going gets tough, he can pull everybody together. In this particular situation, Coach Zychek talked about the fact that nobody really won the job.
First down for the Minutemen, and the give goes to Edwards, and boy, he is just rung up in the backfield.
You got headhunted there.
Number 49 looked like Jose Munoz again on that tackle.
Yeah, the senior Mayer is going to provide. Oh, here we go with the replay of that. Holy
check
cow.
that, number 58 for the Highland Scots came in with a terrific tackle.
You got to feel for him, because I tell you what, the Edwards is only about 5'5". That's tough going in there when you got those big guys trying to rip your head off. But anyway, I think Highlands, they've demonstrated that they can do it with the 2 quarterbacks. In '99 we did it with Vadnais and Johnson, and you can do it. Quite honestly, I would rather have one guy and say, that's my guy, let's go run our offense.
But remember, it's always easier up here in the booth.
Oh, you bet. It's very easy up here.
You are watching live coverage of St. Paul City Conference football on SPNN. Todd Johnson along with Coley McDonough, Kwame McDonald on the field, and hope to provide some halftime interviews. And he will have an interview that he conducted with Dave Zychek of Highland Park. And we are in a 2nd and 15 for the Central Minutemen. Highland showing blitz. Garafola steps up in the pocket, throws, and it is incomplete. Pass intended that time for number 20, fullback Tremaine Lindsay. 4:11 to go. Go ahead.
Highland's defense has really asserted itself. Central's had a difficult time moving the ball here in the 2nd quarter. I don't believe they have a first down. And at the same time, Highlands put themselves in a position to score, but haven't done so. So, 8-7, this is a ball game.
Well, as aggressive as Highland wants to be on offense, Kirby Skull, defensive coordinator for Highland, they want to make sure that they're aggressive on defense. They want to go to some man coverage. They want to do some blitzing. They're going to take some chances on special teams. So this is kind of a shoot-it-out type of offense and defense. And a little delay in the backfield to Perryman, and Perryman's going nowhere. Rashard Turner wraps him up.
Great play by Turner.
Number 12 just spun him around, and a big loss that time for the Minutemen.
Hey, what? Turner wasn't fooled at all. I tell you, this is coaching right here. Turner was coached, you got to stay home. And he stayed home, and he made the play that he had to make. The Central went with a misdirection to the right, came back with Perryman to the left. We all know what Perryman's capable of doing. Turner did a great job following his rules, staying home, making the play.
That'll bring up a 4th down and a punting situation. Cortez Berry at his goal line. And let's see if Highland rushes in for the block. And Berry gets off a very nice kick, high spiral out to midfield. And this is Empress Watson at the 40-yard line. And Watson is wrestled down again by Jose Munoz. Munoz, by the way, had a very solid game last week against the Governors, and he's picked up right where he left off.
That was a great open field tackle by Munoz. I tell you, that's tough. He made a nice little juke move. And the key to that tackle was he widened his base. As you come down in returns, you're in a full sprint, so you have a very narrow base. We try to teach kids that you got to break down as you get to the ball, so you widen your base and you can make that tackle, and it was a great job by Munoz.
I want to make a correction on my own. That's Gassio on the tackle. And a little pass off to Watson. That bounces right off him.
A little too much mustard on that one for Watson.
How about that kick by Berry? He was standing at his goal line. That ball landed at the 50-yard. That was a legitimate 50-yard punt.
Well, they don't give you credit for the
right.
yardage you're back, but he booted that ball, no question.
I mean, it legitimately went 50 yards in the air, I guess.
You bet it did. That was a heck of a punt. and great coverage. You know, it's special teams is huge in this. It can, you know, make or break a football game.
2nd down and 10, 3:09 to go here in the first half. Highland Park wants to punch one more in, and Kubizeski's got it to Watson. Watson bounces off a tackler to the 30, reverses his direction down the right side, and he is finally dragged out of bounds. Boy, you talk about persistence. Little Empress Watson took a shot, bounced right off the defender, and ran it for another 5-10 yards, and a flag on the play. Let's see who it's on.
Here's the replay. He gets it, and he gets schmucked. That is a hit right there. And I think at first he was seeing stars and all of a sudden realized, hey, nobody tackled me. And he got out around the corner, did a great job, and now we got a little extracurricular after the game, after the play.
Empress Watson, Coley, listed at 5'5", 120. You talk about courage on the football field.
I tell you what, them little guys catch that ball across the middle. That's definitely where you want to be. Looks like a personal foul against Highland Park. You know what? That hurts. Those types of penalties you just don't want to. That takes about a 20-yard gain. It takes 15. That's a 35-yard penalty.
And it always seems to happen on a big play where you make a lot of yardage.
And it always seems to happen away from the play. You know, it generally doesn't have a thing to do with Watson and the nice catch and run that he made. That's unfortunate for Highland Park.
Well, as the officials try to sort things out a bit, we should tell you we're under 3 minutes to go here in the first half.
I believe Highland Park has one timeout remaining. I think Central has all 3 of theirs.
Well, that brings it all the way back to the 45-yard line. And Mayer back in at quarterback. Central showing blitz. Now they back off. Big pressure, and down he goes. Number 19, Devontae Duncans, just wrapped him up. And here another flag. Boy, look what's going on down here, Coley.
This isn't good. I guess I was watching the quarterback. I didn't see who kind of got after who, but we get the replay on that. This is, and I know that both Coach Scotty Howell and Coach Zychek, they don't teach this. This is not what it's about. Football is a physical game. And
see what happens here. Duncans sacked the quarterback, and let's see what happened. Well, you didn't quite get it on there.
Yeah, it looked like the Highland guy came up and gave the Central guy a shove there.
Let's see, here's the...
And they called it offset.
Well, you may have picked that up from the PA announcer. They're going to call it on both teams, and the officials, Coley, certainly want to take control of this game and not let anything get any further than just a little pushing and shoving.
And actually, I think they've done a nice job, and I'm assuming that the official has worn both benches. And, you know, there's no place in high school football for that. It's this is a game, and yes, I know it gets heated, but you can't behave that way.
Kubizeski over the middle, and he's got Brown again. Brown bounces off a tackle, breaks another one to the 10, to the 5, and he's dragged down at the 3-yard line. Peter Brown having a wonderful game, and he gets it down to the 3-yard line.
I'll tell you what's special about that catch is, as you look at the replay, you watch his head. He watched that ball all the way in, and he knew he was going to take a hit. The problem with it was the safety didn't wrap up. You got to wrap up. That ball, that should have been a completion for about 20 yards. There was a good hit, but that's how you make the hit, but you got to wrap up. And I know Coach Howell's going to talk to that safety about wrapping up. Great play by Brown.
22 Adrian Perryman finally brought him down, saved a touchdown, but that play, Coley, seems to be working all day long. They get Brown over the middle.
Well, and it's just a seam route. And the only problem I'm seeing is that it seems like there's 2 guys there. You notice that?
Yep.
And Brown just keeps, I don't know if he's running interference or what.
Give goes now to Deem. Deem fights his way forward. Wrapped up that time by number 64, Chris Gustafson. No gain on the play. 2 minutes and 15 seconds and counting. Highland knocking on the door right here at the 4-yard line of St. Paul Central following that big completion. Kubizeski to Peter Brown.
Well, and this is the other maybe disadvantage, if you will, to a spread offense. Your short yardage stuff makes it more difficult. These are types of plays that these kids aren't. They're not running these plays during practice at the same, in terms of repetition, the same time that they are their spread offense, and so they don't have the same level of practice. And it's hard to throw when you're on the 4.
Coley, I just noticed that number 66, who we talked about a moment ago, John Mishik, is lining up in the backfield. 6 foot, 258 pounder. I kind of like that play if you can run behind somebody like that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you get a big guy, if you can coach him to stay low. I mean, I like fullbacks, and I tell you, well, the Vikings used to put Randall McDaniel back there that started with the Fridge, back with the Bears in '85. And if you can get a big guy that can move, that's not a bad deal, because you get that, 260 pounds moving towards the line of scrimmage, you got an opportunity to move some people. At the same time, the guy on the line in front of him better get off the ball and make some contact as well.
Let's see if Mishik lines up. John Mishik lines up again in the backfield. It's second down, 1:48 to go here in the first half. And again, Highland knocking on the door, and this time they spread it out a bit. Deem, the lone setback, 4 wide receivers. Off to the left side, got his man open, and it is just deflected by Perryman.
Great play by Perryman. He wasn't watching the ball. He was watching the corner's eyes, the receiver's eyes, and the receiver's eyes got big. Perryman turned, took a look, and knocked the ball away. It's one of those things. Maybe you don't want to throw to Perryman. Perryman's probably going to cover who? Brown? Makes sense, right? Best athlete on best athlete.
And it appears to line up that way again. Cow and Brown to the left.
Turner is wide open. There's nobody covering Turner.
Turner is open, and he goes right to Turner for the touchdown. Well, Coley, you called it. Nobody lined up across from number 12, Rashard Turner. And more importantly for Highland Park, Joe Kubizeski saw that as well and just rifled it in for the easy touchdown.
Sorry about that, Todd. I didn't mean to take your gravy, but holy cow, somebody's got to see that on Central's defense. There was nobody there. I tell you, the smart thing that Turner did on that, didn't draw any attention to himself. Didn't wave his hands, say anything. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know for sure he didn't say anything. Didn't look like he did. Very calm, very composed, and the quarterback did a nice job making the read and picking up the touchdown.
Well, they're going to try that again. Let's see if they get somebody on Turner this time, and they do.
Still a
They
mismatch.
go for the 2-point, and let's see. They go again, deflected, incomplete. Pass intended for Empress Watson, but too many red jerseys around that ball. But the Highland Park Scots take the lead, 13-8 on a 4-yard touchdown pass from Joe Kubizeski to number 12, Rashard Turner.
I tell you, Coach Zychek's got to be pleased with how his offense has played. And you know what? How his defense has played. He's held Central to 8 points, and Central's loaded with good athletes. This has been an outstanding first half for the Highland Scots. And at the same time, Central's done some very, very nice things as well, but they've also put themselves in tough spots with, some coverage errors. Offensively, I think they've gotten a little bit out of sync. Haven't been able to pick up first down, to the best of my knowledge, since the first quarter. And part of that, you got to give credit to Highland Park.
Well, in a game of momentum, it seems as though the momentum has definitely swung in favor of Highland Park. Highland Park was down 8-0. They've come back with 13 unanswered points here, and especially to get a score right near the end of the first half.
And I tell you what, that is key too. I guess, if I'm Scotty Howell right now, I don't know, depending on where he ends up position of the field right now, I don't know that you just don't run the ball 3 times and go in at halftime and say, you know what, we got another half. You certainly wouldn't want to give up a turnover or something like that now, and give Highland, with the momentum, give them another chance to score before the end of the half.
Dan Stern, left-footed soccer player, kicks it off, and this is the ever-dangerous Perryman at his 15-yard line. Perryman running to the right. Perryman picks up a block. Perryman near midfield. Perryman is finally knocked down, but not before an outstanding run as they get to the 39-yard line of Highland Park. Boy, Turner is just all over this field.
I tell you what, the best part of that play right there, Raheem Shabazz lit a dude up. I don't know who he got, but if maybe we could catch it here right there. Couldn't quite see the block. I saw it at live speed. Oh, was that a great block by Shabazz? And obviously,
Well,
how
it could
great.
have been a face pass right there.
Oh, yeah.
You see that?
Sure did. Didn't look intentional, but nevertheless. Now Scotty's in a good spot. He's
Luke
on there.
Garofoli, 1:29 to go. from the 44-yard line. Play action pass. Garafola throws, and he is hit as he throws. Pass is incomplete. Tackle that time by number 9, Charles Babcock.
Yeah, now would be a good time to get the ball to Simons. Maybe let him make a big play for him. They got 3 timeouts left. They have to be careful here, though. I mean, there's a minute 25. If they throw 3 times and don't pick up a first down, you're giving Highland Park a shot. And so, right now, a good opportunity to run a draw play.
Perryman to the left, Barry to the right. Backs are split behind Garafola. He's looking left, throws down the right sideline for Barry, and it is incomplete. Pretty good coverage that time by number 5, Empress Watson.
That was fantastic coverage.
That's round football, bro.
He is, he's 5'5", but he had great position. He stayed inside and just did a great job.
Yeah, good coverage by Highland Park, and not a bad throw.
See, now you're in a situation. You're 3rd and 10, minute 19. They're 44. You put the ball up, Highland Park's going to get the ball back. This might be a good situation here for, again, maybe a draw play, run the ball, keep the clock rolling, force Highland Park to call timeout. But you know what? They're going out of split backs. Every time Central's been in split backs, they've thrown the ball. Nothing changes here.
And a pass off the left side to Simons. Simons is brought down in a good tackle by Chris Deem. And Simons not an easy guy to bring down, but Deem just wrapped him up around the waist and didn't let him get any further.
Key there, Todd, being wrapped him up around the waist. You can't tackle Simons up high. Great catch, nice hit, put his head right on the ball the way you're supposed to. Very good tackle by Diem.
A minute 2 to go here in the first half.
Highland Park does indeed take timeout. Force Central to punt.
Well, if you're St. Paul Central, do you risk punting the football and a potential block, or do you go for it and risk giving Highland Park pretty good field position with a minute to go?
I tell you what, I'm going to punt the ball. I'm going to punt it right at the sidelines. I'm not going to give them a return. I'm going to tell them to try to kick it out at the 10-yard line. You know what? If it goes 15 yards and it's at the 15 or the 20-yard line, Highland Park has to go 80. Giving them the ball right here, now you're talking about 60 yards. And with Highland Park's offense, 60 yards, that's nothing. That's one play.
Well, they're going to bring the offensive unit on and not punt the football. And
they're going to throw it up.
Let's see what they do. A minute 2 to go. Let's see what Garafola does. Blitz is on, and Garafola over the middle of Simons, and he makes the catch and bounces to the 25-yard line.
First down. That is a gutsy call.
Clock stops as they move the chains, and again, that's the kind of play that Central would like to see successful more often, to Simons up the middle, because he's tough to bring down.
Well, and the other thing is, he's tough to cover. He's tall. You get the ball up there, although you're exposing him to taking some shots, but he looks like a big, strong kid, can probably handle it.
40 seconds and counting from the 26-yard line. Paris Edwards lines up to the left side. Garafola looks left, now throws over the middle for Simons, and it's incomplete. And a flag is down.
Wow, Garafola had all day to throw. Great protection by the Central offensive line.
Well, that's going to come back either way, holding by St. Paul Central. We were talking about Highland Park having a young team, a young offensive line, all junior offensive line. Really just one senior up front for St. Paul Central. They got a lot of young guys up front, and they're going to have this group to work together, not just this year, but next year.
And again, that's, it goes back to the fact that these kids are going to get to develop. They're going to get to grow. And that's what's going to make, I tell you what, it's going to make next year an unbelievable year in the St. Paul City Conference.
Just watching this game.
27 seconds to go. Ball at the 39-yard line, 1st and 20. And another whistle. I'll tell you, we were talking about the Harding-Arlington game last week for flags and whistles. We might break that record tonight on this game.
Yeah, there's been, multiple penalties. I think the last time Danny Flanagan gave me the sheet, they had, let me see, what has he got here?
There's been a lot of them.
8 penalties on Highland Park, and that was, Flanagan gave me this about halfway through the second quarter.
Well, it'll be a first down and 15 yards to go for Central. Garafola steps up to the right, and he's going down the right sidelines, and it is caught. A fine catch that time by number 9, Jonathan Berry. He may have even been bumped by Watson before the catch, but a good completion. 19 seconds to go. Central trying to hurry things up as they move the chain. Clock is now started down to 18 seconds. Let's see if they spike the ball, and they do with 14 seconds to go at the, looks like about the 12-yard line.
I tell you what, Central's got to be careful. Garafola, when he spiked that ball, you got to make sure you throw the ball forward. That was almost sideways. All of a sudden, that's a lateral, and you know that's trouble. Now officials are gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, but as coaches, you have to tell your kids when you're going to spike that ball, you make sure that ball is going forward, because that would be devastating. Now, I think Central's got timeouts. I guess I'm not quite sure why they wouldn't take a timeout to talk about what they're going to do if the ball's caught in bounds or whatever.
Well, they're going to spot the ball right at the 10-yard line. Garafola off to the left to Simons, and he couldn't hang on to the ball. Good coverage again that time by Chris Deem.
Probably a good thing he didn't hang on to the ball. He wouldn't have picked up anything. I think they're at the 8.
You're right. And, you know, it almost seems like Chris Deem is just shadowing Simons when he goes across the middle. That's his man.
I don't blame him. I mean, if I was Highland Park, that's who I'd put on him, too. Deems is a hard-nosed kid.
Stop mentioning you. I hope this ain't on and stuff. Yeah, I'm talking.
Third down. Ball is spotted at the 9-yard line. Two wide receivers to the left, 10 seconds on the clock. And rolling to the left is Garafola. And the ball is caught by Perryman. He drops the football, however, and recovered by Highland Park. Oh, my, what a big, big break for Highland Park. Perryman caught the ball. It was stripped, and Highland recovers with just 2 seconds to go. Here's the replay. And
it was almost picked off.
Yeah, it was a great catch by Perryman, but it was just stripped away. And
who was that,
Highland
Turner?
Park with the big, big break here to close out the first half. Well, actually 2 seconds to go.
Who was the one that recovered that? Was that Turner or Kubaszewski?
It almost looked like it was Kubaszewski on the
I thought he could have picked that up and run with it. I thought he would have scored.
Yeah. Well, Highland Park certainly just going to hand off here with 2 seconds to go. And they're going to take it up the middle. Boy, I'll tell you, Mark Mayer was just...
He got lit up.
He was just creaming.
He just got lit
play.
up. I don't understand that. Take a knee.
Highland Park, there you see Mayer. He's shaking that one off. And he felt that one. But the Scots are fired up, and why not? A couple of big breaks. The biggest one coming at the end of the first half. A fumble by Perryman. And they avoid a St. Paul Central score, and they go to the locker room with a 13-8 lead here at James Griffin Stadium in St. Paul.
And you know, it's always, Todd, it's the story of football. Turnovers are going to kill you. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, Edwards had the fumble when Central was going in earlier in the second quarter. Then they get the fumble right down there where they could have scored and gone into halftime with the lead. But at the same time, you have to feel good if you're Central that you were able to. You got a good kickoff return after you lost the lead. They went right down the field. Just didn't get it done in this particular case.
Well, the other thing is turnabout's fair play. Highland got intercepted in the end zone. Perryman happened to be the defender who picked it off, and that obviously killed a good scoring chance for Highland Park. And here at the end of the second half, Perryman on the wrong end of the play, and he fumbles near the goal line, and a big break for Highland Park. But no matter how you look at it, it's been a pretty entertaining ball game. 13-8 is our score at halftime here at James Griffin Stadium. You're watching live coverage of St. Paul City Conference football. Todd Johnson here along with Coley McDonough, Kwame McDonald on the sidelines for us tonight. And we're going to look for Kwame here pretty soon.
I think Kwame's got somebody down in the stands right now. Are we going to go down to Kwame?
This is Kwame McDonald with SPNN Sports, and I'm here with Rich Kallick, boys football coach at Cretin-Derham Hall, and also the assistant principal. Rich, how are you doing tonight?
It's great. Isn't it a great ball game?
Yeah, what are you seeing here?
A real competitive. Both teams are well prepared. They're executing. They're going at each other pretty well. I like it.
That's good. Rich, this has got to be a very, very big weekend for you. On the one hand, Joey Maurer, all nation, all everything athlete at Cretin-Derham Hall came back home. You had a chat with him. And then one of your former quarterbacks, Chris Winkie, is going to start for Carolina. And then two of your former linemen, Burke and Corbin Lucina, will be playing in a professional football game. I'm not going to ask you how that makes you feel because I already know. But tell me something about those guys as young people.
Well, I tell you what, every one of them was competitive as heck in their own way. A couple of them, like Corbin and Joey, were pretty quiet, but they were leaders. And Chris Winkie was pretty fiery, and Matt Burke was kind of a comedian, but he was a fiery sort too. But they were all leaders. They worked hard. They led by example, and I think they took the talents they had and they learned a little bit about competition, and they carried it to the ultimate. Every one of them is a great young person, a great young man, and pretty good role models.
Uh-huh. Now, of course, the ultimate question is who are you going to be rooting for when Carolina plays the Vikings?
Oh, boy, it's a tough call. I think I'm going to do like some of the moms and dads that have kids on two teams and sit on one side each half. It's going to be hard. I'm going to hope that each player does very well and competes hard like they've done all their lives.
Mm-hmm. Does the emergence of Burke surprise you at all?
Not at all. He came to our place his sophomore year from St. Thomas Academy. He was a soccer player when he started as a sophomore, and he learned the game awfully well and very quickly. You know, he was a great player. He got a great education at Harvard, and, you know, he worked hard, and it's just proof that if you're a good player, you work hard, they'll find you anywhere.
There's a lot of controversy about Cretin-Derham Hall being in the city conference. And they claim that you do a lot of recruiting from people all over, the metro area. Tell me where these three guys, or the four guys that we talked about, where is their domicile?
Joey Maurer lives on Lexington Avenue. He's in our district. Matt Burke lives about a mile from school, from Cretin-Derham Hall. Chris Winkie grew up in Frogtown, over by Como Park. He went to maternity to Mary. St. Andrews there, and the only one who's from out of anywhere is Corbin Lucina, who was from Woodbury.
And Corbin and Burke own a business right in the Cretin-Derham Hall area.
Exactly, it's St. Clair and Snelling, yep.
Uh-huh. What is that business?
Total Athlete, and it's a place where kids and young people and adults go and learn proper weight training and good nutrition without using, some of the things that they're out on the market. They try to do stuff as naturally as possible. They have another one of our graduates, Steve Rosgo, working with them, who brought Acceleration Minnesota into the building. So it's a real good Cretin-Derham Hall tie, and it's for the community. And lots of the young kids from our school, and I know Central and Highland Park and a lot of the colleges have worked out there.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you attribute, or let me put it another way, how do you try to work with these young athletes? In addition to the number of athletes that you're going to have in the pro game Sunday, you're going to have some guys playing some college football on Saturday as well.
Right. What we try and do is have the kids create dreams and set goals for themselves. And then the hard part is to try and reach those goals. And we try and take them step by step to show them it takes hard work. Sometimes you fail. You have to get up, dust yourself off, and keep going and to reach their goals. And then we try and get them to a level of competition that really meets their ability and fits. Not everybody's a Division I player. Not everybody's going to get a scholarship for whatever reason. But, if they're a 2 or a 3 or they're a junior college player, we want to try and get them a fit if they want to play the game. And what we try and do is take that beyond sports and just so they're successful and happy in life.
Uh-huh. Now, another thing that I noticed is that you have a lot of professional stars who have not forgotten from whence they came.
No, every one of them has been great, professional and college. An example, last year we're playing for the state championship, and two quarterbacks in our pregame practice at Augsburg were Steve Walsh and Chris Winkie, and just watching and giving a few pointers and just encouraging us. I remember phone calls the year before from Chris. He's going to play for a national championship, and he calls us and says, good luck in the prep bowl. So they don't forget. They come back, and both days before our state championship game, we might have had 50 to 70 alums there just wishing the kids on. It's part of a family, and they remain part of it.
Right. Now, I heard, and from a source that I trust, that of all of the alumni associations in the country, including college, university, and high schools, that Cretin-Derham Hall is in the top 5 in terms of active contributing alumni. Is that true?
Oh, it's incredible. Maybe one of the best high schools, and certainly could be in the top 5. We have a very generous alumni group from both schools, from Cretin and Derham Hall, and now Cretin-Derham Hall, who are supportive. A lot of the people who are professionals will have our kids come over for kind of a tag-along day so our kids can learn what a profession is like. They give tremendous amounts of money financially to help our kids afford the tuition, which is $6,000 now. And it's a need-based thing. And a lot of those guys and young women who've left said, somebody help them, and they're going to return the favor.
Mm-hmm. Now, at the risk of causing you to forget somebody, talk to me about some of your athletes that are playing college ball this year and where they are and how they're doing.
Wow, you're going to put me on the spot a little bit. We've got, at the University of Minnesota, we have 4 players. Phil Archer, whose brother Brendan's playing for us, is starting at linebacker on their defense. Ryan Melander and Mark McElroy, 2 big linemen who are redshirt freshmen, are backups at guard and tackle offensively, respectively. And Kevin Salmon, who played for us last year and is a redshirt, a true freshman this year, is, I think, playing tight end for him now. So that's at the University of Minnesota. Let's see, at St. Cloud State, Ronnie Docks is going to start for them this year. I think Adam Samsel is in his last year at Iowa State. And Jason Schwab just graduated from Nebraska. We've got Winston Bell playing down at Rochester Community College.
Got somebody at Georgetown?
We've got 2 players at Georgetown, thank you. Andy Fleming and Walt Bowser, and they had a great start. They're both sophomores there, and they're doing a great job out there. And like you said, it's hard to keep track of all of them on me, but they're great kids. They call and they come back, and they want to know how this bunch is doing as well.
When you talked with Joey Maurer this week, what did he say about his experience in professional baseball?
Oh, he loved it. And, we asked him about the bus travel. He said he didn't mind it. He said it was a lot of fun. And I think he was just in his glory. What 18 or 19-year-old young person wouldn't love playing a sport that they've grown up with and done well all their life and playing for money? And that's their summer now. I think he's home for 4 or 5 days, and he's going to go down to Fort Myers to the instructional league. He loves it.
Yeah. It's interesting when you say 18, 19-year-old is because those of us who are older are the only ones who talk about how bad the bus rides are. We don't have
exactly.
Kids love it.
Yeah, when you got an artificial hip, you don't like those buses. The kids love it. And he just said it was a great time, and his brother made the instructional league, so he's excited about that too. So Jake and Joe will both be down in Fort Myers.
Well, Rich Kallick, I want to thank you for being with me this half during this great game here. And I also just want to mention to folks that I think you guys are doing just a great, tremendous job. And you really don't need me to say that because the proof is in the pudding. Thank you very much.
Kwame, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you.
Kwame McDonald. Cold, if you get out there, is all he gonna get. Programs, hats, t-shirts.
Camera. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it. Okay. Give me that coat, please.
We are back at James Griffin Stadium in St. Paul. Todd Johnson along with Coley McDonough. You're watching live coverage of St. Paul City Conference football. Our score at halftime, the visiting Highland Scots on top 13-8, 13 unanswered points at the end of the first half. And Coley McDonough, it's been a pretty even game.
Yeah, it really has, Todd. It's been a very even game. I think both teams started out a little bit jittery. We had several penalties early on, but then both offenses settled down, was able to execute and score. I think Highland Park kind of came out of the first half maybe with a little bit of momentum. They got the last touchdown, and then they got the turnover right at the end of the half. And now they get the ball to start the second half. And I know, if I'm Coach Zychek, I'm telling my guys, you know what? You go put one in right now. That puts Central in a tough spot.
Right, and we talk about momentum. Central took an 8-0 lead. Garafola to Perryman. And Raheem Shabazz, the 2-point conversion. That was 8-0. Highland came back with a 24-yard touchdown pass. Mark Mayer to Peter Brown. They made it 8-6. The conversion by Dan Stern made it 8-7. And then late in the first half, a 4-yard touchdown pass. Kubazeski to Rashad Turner, and that's where we stand. The opening kickoff is underway, and a short kick again to the 40-yard line. And that's where the Highland Park Scots will take over with their spread offense. And Coley, I have to say, the spread offense has been a success here tonight.
I tell you what, the two quarterbacks I thought they've looked very well. Combined, I think they're 11 of 22, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the lone interception. Mayer 6 of 15 for 97. Kubashevsky 5 of 7 for 117, both with a touchdown, and Mayer with the one interception by Perryman.
And Mark Mayer going to start things off for the Scots at his own 40-yard line. Looks right, throws, and it is caught and then dropped. Pretty good hit that time for Central. Number 52, Michael Janish.
In and out of the hands of Turner. Probably should have had that one. It's kind of what we saw early in the first half with guys' drops. And, it's, like we said, it's early in the year, and they're probably a little nervous. But now, it's second half, and everybody's into the game. I don't think there's any more goosebumps or any more butterflies.
2nd and 10 from the 40-yard line. Kubazeski in now at quarterback, and he gives the ball to Deem, and Deem looking for some running room, and he's still on his feet, but he's going backwards.
That was ugly. I don't know what that was. That had to have been a broken play of some kind, because I think Deem was looking for a handoff, and the quarterback was looking for a pitch. And that just didn't quite work out. That didn't look very good.
Loss of 5 on the play. 3rd down. Well, actually, they're going to give him a loss of about 3 yards on the play, so call it 3rd and 13 as Mark Mayer enters the game again. Mayer, little delay, looking for the screen off to the right, and nobody home. Is that ball picked off?
Picked off.
The only guy looking for the ball was number 85 for St. Paul Central, Pierre Barnes, and he gets the interception.
Great play by Barnes. I tell you what, the man on him had no idea the ball was coming.
Yeah, that looked like a mix-up there. You saw Mayer looking for the screen, and there was just nobody looking for it.
No.
What was this guy? The ball may have been Brown.
I don't think Dean was able to get out.
Yeah, Brown was looking like he was on a blocking assignment.
Let's open up now. Nobody behind you back there.
At the 42-yard line. Now another turnover and a break this time for Central. Out of the I formation, Luke Garafola gives the ball to Tolbert, and he pushes his way forward. Correction, Lindsay on the carry. And Lindsay...
That's a straight dive inside, and you know what? That's my fullback right there. 220 pounds of smash mouth football. And you know what? That Central has to do that in the second half. They have to establish. And you know what? They've had success running with Lindsay.
Pick up of 7 on that last carry by the big fullback. Let's see if they go back to him again. Actually, Rashim Shabazz in the fullback position, and he gets this carry, and Shabazz pushes his way forward.
Tell you what, that kid runs pretty darn hard too. He gets up there in a hurry.
Wrapped up by Jeff Wanstall. You hear a coach yell his name out. 6'1", 237-pound senior. But you're right, Shabazz pretty tough to bring down. He's 5'8", 205 pounds.
You get up there in a hurry, and that's, at low center of gravity. Those guys that are short but a little stocky, boy, they pack a wallop.
Berry and Perryman to the right. Garafola giving the ball to Shabazz. Shabazz wrapped up again that time.
See, I think I like Shabazz from 3.5 versus from 7. At 3.5, he just, boom, he hits you quick. I don't know if he necessarily has quite the speed that Edwards has. I haven't seen Edwards in the second half yet.
2nd and 10, 9:36 to go.
This is a big drive for Central, Todd. They can put some points on the board here. It's going to come down to the wire. Edwards is in the game now. They go split backs. Let's see if they throw. Central's thrown every time they've been in split backs.
Edwards alone. Actually, a pass off the right side is caught and breaking a tackle down the right sidelines to the 5-yard line. Jonathan Berry. Looked for a moment like it was number 1 that checked into number 9, Jonathan Berry, and he puts a couple of good moves and gets the Minutemen down to about the 5-yard line.
Yeah, you look at the replay here. It looks like he basically just makes a swim move past Watson. Watson tried to force him inside, didn't do a very good job to pursuit. Again, it's all tackling high. You got to come down low, make those tackles down low.
First down, ball is spotted just outside the 5-yard line. Call up the 6-yard line, and Central now knocking on the door. Here deep in Highland territory.
Where's Lindsey? Put the fullback in.
Shabazz is the fullback. Edwards behind him. And some movement on the line. Looked like Sojourno, freshman guard.
I feel bad that's Sojourno gets his name called when he moves. Nobody said anything about the great hole that he opened for Lindsey. Sorry about that, bud. I'm a former offensive lineman. I know you guys are doing all the work in the trenches.
Got to get more glory.
That's right. Back when I was playing at St. John's, Todd, we had a 1,000-yard rusher for the second time in history. Not one offensive lineman was all conference. It's a travesty.
All offensive linemen out there appreciate hearing that. This is James Paris Edwards, and he's going nowhere.
I tell you what, he may not have gone anywhere, but if we watch this again, you watch the lick that Lindsey puts on the linebacker Jones from Highland Park. I tell you, I like this Lindsey. Just watch this block. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it. Nah, you don't quite get it. He put a lick on 43.
Rashad Turner finally wrapped him up.
The rest of the defense did a very nice job. If you haven't already figured it out, Todd, I'm kind of a fullback guy. I like fullbacks, especially guys like Lindsey.
Garafola now. Lindsey is in the game as the fullback. And they give the ball, play action pass, good fake, under pressure, and down he goes. Jason Jones sacks Luke Garafola, and a big defensive play for the Scots. Number 43, Jason Jones, just wrapped him up from behind.
I tell you what, I think we got another unsportsmanlike on Highland Park. I think Simons and another guy didn't quite get the number. Away from the play, way away from the play. There's a flag down around the 5-yard line. Officials are together discussing it. I think it's going to be another, it's just a hold, defensive hold. I believe that comes with an automatic first down, Todd.
Well, I think both coaches have seen enough
Yellow
penalties and whistles and flags and mistakes. But we are early on in the season, and a lot of young players out there.
Well, it's going to be 2nd and 5. And I think, the frustrating part of it from a coaching standpoint is when you have penalties that are way away from the ball. You have a wide receiver that jumps off sides, and we're going to run the ball. You're going to run a dive. I mean, those are the things that, give coaches gray hairs.
Berry to the left, Perryman to the right. Give goes to Shabazz. Shabazz working his way forward, but a lot of white jerseys. Bring up 3rd down.
Now
John Mishik in again on that tackle.
This is an interesting situation for Central. 3rd and 3, you're kind of in a tweener situation. My thought would be it probably would make sense for them to spread it out a little bit, and then you got an option, maybe leave Lindsey as the lone guy. You could go with They've been running mainly out of the pro set. They're going to run the ball here.
Barry to the right, Perryman to the left. Back to pass, Garafola going in the end zone, and it is incomplete. Pass intended for Barry, and again, pretty good coverage that time by the Highland Scots.
You know, it was great coverage by the Highland Scots.
Alexander Deputy.
And it was what was really nice about the call for Central is, as you noticed, Todd, when they've run out of split backs, they've been throwing the ball exclusively. They came out in the eye, and I assumed that they were going to run, and they didn't. They ran the fade in the corner, and it was a good call. The ball was just a little deep.
That'll be 4th down. 3 yards to go. And play action pass. Garafola rolling left, under pressure, throws across the field. And boy, there was a collision in the end zone. I'm surprised we didn't see a flag there.
No, that was a great non-call by the official. Diem was going for the football. He has every right to the football that the receiver does. He was trying to make a play on it, you know, incidental contact, and that can be tough sometimes. You look at on the replay here, you can't see the collision, but you know, both players are making an effort to get the ball. Interference occurs when the defender or offensive player is trying to, you know, get in the way or cause a disruption to the other player. They both have the right to the ball. That's a huge stop for Highland Park. Highland's got him pinned, or Central's got him pinned deep now.
Let's see how this spread offense works from their own 3-yard line. Kubizeski in at quarter. Let's see if he runs it just to give himself some space, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Spinning forward for a couple of yards. That's actually been an effective play for them.
It really has. And again, you talk about how you're able to execute a run out of an offense like that. And those are the things you have to do. And, you know, the little short dumps to Diem, that's a run. It's just a little dump. It's their way of controlling the football and getting, you know, some ball control.
Mayer going to take this snap, drop straight back, off to the left, in traffic, and it is picked off by Perryman at the 15, the 10, 5. Touchdown! St. Paul Central. Who else? Adrian Perryman has been absolutely unconscious here tonight.
I tell you who gets the credit for that touchdown, Todd? The defensive coordinator for Central. They made an adjustment. You look at the replay here. They got Brown in the seam, and he's covered. And the ball went just over the top. They did a great job at halftime of making that adjustment. The ball was just slightly overthrown. Perryman right there to make the pick. And, boy, you saw his speed, and he busted to the cone. And all of a sudden, Central's back in front.
Central on top, 14-13. And, Coley, we said, what happens to the spread offense when you're down on the 3-yard line? Well, I guess that can happen with any offense, but passing deep in your own territory, that's sometimes what happens.
That's exactly right. And, again, it goes to the
Central going to go for 2 here. And they give the ball to Edwards. Edwards got a hole, but he is pushed backwards and will be unsuccessful in his attempt. Boy, you run out of adjectives, Coley, when you talk about what kind of a game Perryman has played.
Holy cow. That's 2 picks now, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the offense, 1 on the defense. Made some outstanding special teams tackles. I mean, this kid can play. When you look at the extra point, they ran the lead with Lindsey and Edwards, and they just couldn't get it in. But I tell you, Central did a nice job making the adjustment. You know, Todd, that's the key to at the high school level is when you go in at halftime, you know, some people think, you know, you're just sitting around eating oranges, drinking water. You're making adjustments in your offense and defensive schemes. Your coaches are talking about the things that, okay, what did Highland do to us that they were successful with? And they hit Brown in the seam multiple times. They hit him for a touchdown. Central had to go in and they had to make an adjustment defensively, and they did it. That Brown was covered on that particular play. That probably a ball that shouldn't have been thrown, slightly overthrown, and all of a sudden Perryman turns it into a touchdown for Central.
You know, Coley, we really shouldn't be surprised that this is such a competitive game. It's always been competitive between these two schools. Central actually leads the series, 21 wins, 15 losses, and a tie. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Ball bouncing between a couple of white jerseys and finally fielded at about the 25-yard line. Number 8, David Storer, is the one who comes up with the ball. This game is the battle for the musket. It's a traveling trophy that's been exchanged from these two schools. Central won the game last year, reclaimed the Musket in a good ball game that you saw right here on SPNN, 27-13. Prior to that, though, Highland Park had won 8 out of 10. So this series has gone back and forth, and there's been some great games between these two schools. Well, Highland gonna try to get things untracked again. They trail now 14-13, and a give goes to Deem, and Deem moves forward for a couple of yards.
Hey, Jeff Sunsmo made a great block on that to free up Diem up the middle. He came across from his tackle spot to run a trap block, and I tell you what, I don't think I'd want to get trapped by Sunsmo. I wouldn't want to get trapped by either of his brothers either.
2nd down and 7, 3 yards on that last pickup by Chris Deem. Empress Watson split wide to the right side. And the pitch back goes to Deem. Deem looking for a block around the corner, and he gets one. And Deem out across the 40-yard line. Barry on the tackle, along with Devontae Duncans. And Chris Deem showed some pretty good speed getting around the corner. And
Mishik's got to get going a little bit. He's got to get out there a little faster. Diem's awfully fast. If that guard gets out there, he can cut back inside, get his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. That's what we tell running backs. When you're running a sweep, the key is to get your shoulders square with the line of scrimmage. That way you have an opportunity now you can make a move. If your shoulders are directed at the sideline, you only have one direction you can run. And part of that is dependent on your lineman getting out there and make that kick-out block, let you turn your shoulders and get straight up the field.
Well, that was good for a first down. So Highland Park now marching forward. Kubazeski, pretty good protection, thrown over the middle, and it is incomplete. Pass intended for Turner. Looked like he slipped a bit on that play. Mike Janish on the coverage.
I tell you, and that was a good choice by Kubazeski to go after the linebacker, because that's the mismatch they're looking for. That's what the spread offense is doing. They're going to, at the line of scrimmage, they're going to look for that mismatch. He's got to put a little more air under the ball, because I think that Hunter can outrun him, get down the field a little, Turner can outrun Janish. You got to give him an opportunity to run underneath the ball, put a little bit more air under it.
Kubazeski again in at quarterback. 5 wide receivers. Central calls a blitz and a throw off to the right, and it is incomplete, intended for Deem.
Tell you what, that was almost a big play. That could have been a big play either way. Could have been picked, and it could have gone for a touchdown either way. You watch here. Nice job by Sunsmo to kick that guy out. Shabazz almost makes an interception there, and Diem, if he'd have caught the ball, he'd have been off to the races.
5:31 to go here in the third quarter. St. Paul Central on top, 14-13. Mark Mayer, and again, a blitz is on. Mayer going for it all, and he overthrows Peter Brown. That'll bring up a 4th down and a punting situation for the Highland Scots.
Yeah, and now you got to punt it. Now you got to get a good stand out of your defense. You need a 3 and out if you're Highland Park. If you're Central, you know what? You go back to exactly what you did in the first half, in the first quarter when they were successful. You're running Lindsay, you're running Edwards, you're running between the tackles. They've had a lot of success running between the tackles.
Peter Brown standing at his 28-yard line. And he gets a end-over-end kick. Bouncing at the 30, takes a Highland bounce. And they will down it at the 20-yard line. And that's where the Minutemen will take over with 5:16 to go here in the third quarter. Been a back-and-forth seesaw game. 14-13 is our score. Todd Johnson here along with Coley McDonough, bringing you live coverage of St. Paul City Conference football.
It's nice, Todd, is that you start the game and it's bright out, the sun's still out, and now it's starting to look like fall. And this is, quite honestly, this is the best time of the year. I mean, high school football doesn't get any better than this.
And a pretty good game here tonight for the folks who came out to Griffin Stadium. Turner is split way wide to the right side. Garafola giving the ball up the middle. Couple of yards there for Lindsay.
Nice stick, though. I think that was
Jose Munoz in on the tackle. We got the right number 49 this time.
We did, huh?
It'll bring up a 2nd down and 8. You know, talking about the Musket, again, been some great games over the years between these two teams. Highland took 8 out of 10 up until last year's game, and a year before that, it was a 44-40 game. 1999, 45-40. And a quick pass off to the right side, and a good tackle that time. Number 32 for the Scots, right on it, Ricky Lee.
Great open field tackle. That's
Pass intended for Barry.
That's how it has to be. I mean, and as a corner, you know what? They say you're out on an island. And what they mean by that is you're all by yourself. And you don't make that tackle, somebody else might, but it's going to be a long way down the field.
Right.
And you better take a good angle.
Again, a lot of young players on both teams tonight, and everybody getting some good experience. Perryman split wide to the left side, and a play action pass under pressure, and the give goes a little screen out to Edwards. Edwards breaks a tackle. Edwards has the 1st down and a lot more. Edwards near midfield.
Very well conceived play. They had the Highland defense on their heels, made a nice play fake. They brought 2 linemen out to the left, a little flip to Edwards. They did a nice job. You watch here, they didn't contact the outside linebacker here, Jones. All they did is got in his way, and he took a back door is what they call it. And you're not going to catch a guy like Edwards taking a back door.
James Paris Edwards, not a big guy, 5'5", 150-pound senior.
Yeah, 150 pounds. He's 150 pounds, I tell you what.
And a quick give to Lindsay. And he bowls his way forward for 3 more yards. Well, Central now doing a pretty good job mixing things up. Inside, quick handoffs. We've seen the screen going to the wideouts. Perhaps they have Central backpedaling a bit.
Yeah, I think
off balance.
Yeah, I think the Highland Park defense need a big play here. They need something to happen to kind of turn the momentum after Central gets the big interception for the touchdown by Perriman, and now they're on the move. They're in split. Let's see if they throw.
Garafola looking right, going for Barry, and some contact. Empress Watson bumping up against Barry, and they're going to get Watson on that.
No, I disagree. I think they're going to get Barry. That was an offensive push-off. That's how I saw it, Todd.
Let's see what happens.
Let's watch the replay.
You're the coach here. Let's see.
Yeah, you look at the replay here. It looks to me like the offensive player pushes off. Now you can't see it on the replay.
You are exactly right. That's just what the official called. Offensive pass interference.
See, Watson's at a disadvantage. He's got good speed, but he's so small that receivers are going to try to take advantage of him by pushing him around. Good call by the official. That hurts Central. That's actually exactly what Highland Park needed.
Right, you said a moment ago they need a break. There's a break right there.
It's 3rd and a mile now.
3rd call at 20. And they just give it right up the middle. Raheem Shabazz.
You know, Todd, I like that call, giving the ball to Shabazz. Highland Park, 3rd and a mile. They're thinking pass, and you know what? Sometimes you can catch them with a little quick hitter like that. Unfortunately, in this particular situation, it didn't work out, forcing Central to punt.
Cortez Berry's had a pretty good game punting the ball, though he did have 1 blocked in the first quarter.
And actually, that was more of an issue if he just dropped the snap.
He's standing at his 30-yard line. Empress Watson standing back about at his 30-yard line. Not a big rush this time. And again, a very good high spiraling kick sends Watson back to the 15. He fumbles the ball and smartly falls right on top of it.
Very smart play by Watson. I mean, you know what? That is one job. I don't know why anybody would want it. Why would you want to be able to have somebody kick a ball 50 yards and have it 50 yards in the air and give 11 guys an opportunity to run down and knock your block off, and you got to try to catch the ball on top of it. But he did a nice job. He dropped the ball, but he got right on it.
You know, Coley, some guys are good practice players and some aren't. I saw Barry kicking in practice. He wasn't punting him nearly as well in practice as he is during the game.
Well, you know, a lot of it is you get into a concentration, you get into a focus, and that's kind of the key to it.
And a pitch back goes to Deem around the right side. Deem sheds a couple of tacklers. Then he is just stood up by a host of Central Minutemen. Paul Menard in there, number 55, and Raheem Shabazz.
I'll tell you what.
They really hit him pretty hard.
Yeah, Gustafson gave him a really good shot, and you know what? He's down.
There are 4 guys that stuck him on that play.
Oh, and I think Gustafson's the one that really puts the shot on him right there.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Right from behind.
Yeah, he kind of got the face mask in the back, and I think he probably just got the wind knocked out of him a little bit. I think he'll be all right.
He's
Deem's a tough kid, yeah, no question. But you know what? That's Central. That I tell you what, that's getting everybody to the football.
Yeah, we said in the open they're gonna play a old-fashioned game of hard-nosed, hard-hitting football. And I tell you, in their opening game against Johnson, although they lost 29-3, they really, really had some big hits in that game as well.
Well, and I think, you know, as you look at Diem there, they're checking him out. And Highland, quite honestly, they can't afford to lose him. That's, you know, and unfortunately, there's probably a guy like that on every team. There's just one guy, he looks like he's okay. I got a nickel. Todd says he's back in the game within a couple of plays.
I need another back.
You may have picked that up on the field mic. Head coach Dave Zychik said, I need another back. And Deem looks to be okay, headed towards the bench. But he wants to get back in the game.
No, it doesn't.
2nd down and 9. And Mayer looking good protection over the middle, and it is almost caught. It went through a couple of hands and almost caught that time by number 88 for the Highland Scots. That's Tyler Edwards.
Well, I tell you what here, you see 3 guys on that seam route. Central made the adjustment. Highland now has to make that adjustment that seam route no longer is available to them. They got to go somewhere else. That's twice now. I mean, they had Perryman got the pick, and now they're all over that seam route.
3rd down and 9, a minute 37 to go, 3rd quarter. Mayer steps up in the pocket. He's going to keep it himself to the 25-30, and he steps out of bounds at the 31-yard line, and he may have the first down.
No, he definitely has the first down. He did something really smart. I mean, you know, people woof about, you know, quarterbacks and they're not tough and they're not this. They got to be smart. Look at him. He runs right out of bounds. He's got the first down. That's all you need. Move the chains. You go back to the huddle. He doesn't need to take the big hit from the linebacker to gain an extra 2 yards. Certainly not in that situation.
Perhaps more importantly, he didn't throw the ball into coverage.
Right.
Just tucked it in himself. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. And a little give in the backfield to Turner, and that was a little slow in developing.
Well, and you can definitely see the difference between Turner and Diem.
Devontae Duncan's in on the stop.
Diem's obviously a little bit quicker on that, but you know you gotta run it. You gotta show him. I wonder what Diem's pacing here on the sidelines. He sure looks like he's ready to go back in. I don't know if maybe Coach Zychek made a call and said, "Nah, you're done for the night."
Well, Turner again will line up in the backfield. Edwards split wide to the left side. 4 wide receiver set. Low snap, big blitz. Flag is thrown and pass is incomplete, intended for Watson.
I don't know what the call is, but you know what? You got to have a hot read on that because, I mean, Watson was all right, but I tell you what, Tyler Edwards on that. I don't know if we can get another look at that.
Let's get the flag here. The officials are about to let us know what it was.
I guess just for clarification for our audience, what a hot receiver is in an offense like the spread offense, you have a hot receiver is wherever the blitz comes from. The defense is going to send extra linebackers. They're going to send somebody to try to sack the quarterback. Then what the offense does, I guess, in retaliation is they replace that blitzer. They replace that blitzer with the receiver. The quarterback's read is if that man blitzes, then I'm going to have somebody that replaces. And therefore, it should be a quick bang, bang, and it's a completion.
3rd and 12. Again, blitz is on Shabazz, and he's wrapped up by Simons. Shabazz came in, Simons finished him, and that finishes this series for the Highland Scots.
And once again, they came with the blitz, and Central's now, they're committing to the blitz. They got to have a hot receiver, although for the look of the replay, there was pretty good coverage.
Did you see Shabazz just blow right through that hole? And
he sure did.
He took a step away, did Mayer, and went right into the arms of Eric Simons. Peter Brown standing at his 5-yard line. And this kick is nearly blocked, end over end, bouncing up near midfield at about the 45-yard line. And that's where Central will take over. Both teams, Coley, have had good field position.
They really have, and somebody's going to have to take advantage of it at some point. We had 2 seconds left in the third quarter here, 14-13 Central. I'm still interested. I'm looking at the Highland sidelines. Are they going to put Diem back in the game, or is he done? Because if that's the case, I mean, he's the guy that's been covering Perryman, at least when he's been covered.
Yeah, he's just a big part of their football team on both sides of the ball, as you mentioned. From the 45-yard line, out of the I formation, 2 wide receivers to the left, and they give the ball to Edwards. Edwards, good hole off the right side.
Great
and he's
job.
near the first down. Good job by that offensive line.
That's just a straight ISO. That's, here we come. Us against you. That's my kind of football right there. Great job by Lindsay on the linebacker. And Edwards just puts his head down, gets up in there.
Well, that play signaled the end of the third quarter. And what more can you ask for, Coley? We're in the fourth quarter, a 1-point game. Things going back and forth. It's a good way to open up the television coverage season for SPNN.
It's fantastic, and it's great to be here at James Griffith Stadium with 2 teams battling it out. Both teams looking for the first win. The unfortunate part of this, Todd, somebody's going home 0-2.
Right, and of course, both teams would desperately like to avoid that 0-2 mark. St. Paul Central, as we've mentioned, has to face the Cretin-Durham Hall Raiders next week.
The mighty Raiders.
And Highland Park will take on the Humboldt Hawks in their game number 3.
Yeah, I believe Humboldt and Johnson are playing as we speak over at Harding. I didn't hear any scores. Did you hear anything at halftime? No?
Second down and 5. And the give goes again to Edwards. Good blocking again up front, and Edwards and a late flag.
I don't know what the flag's for, but you know what? Central on the line of scrimmage is starting to dominate Highland Park. They're just starting to get up under the pads, and you know what? You start pushing them backwards, and it makes it pretty tough. I'm guessing you might have a hold in there.
We'll wait for the call. There you see the replay. Now this one's going to go against.
What did they call?
May have been an inadvertent face mask.
Okay, yeah, it was just a 5-yarder, but it did give Central a first down. Or no, yeah, first down.
Yeah, they just moved the chains. First down. 2 wide receivers to the left. And the give goes to the fullback. Breaking a couple of tackles and just carrying a couple of white jerseys with him. Tremaine Lindsay. And Coley, Lindsay looks like one of those backs that's getting better as the game goes on.
Absolutely, and what it comes down to, you look at him, he keeps the feet churning. Look at him, he wants the contact. And there might even been a face mask on there too as you looked at the replay.
Yeah, Joshua Jones was hanging on for dear life.
Well, and fullbacks will wear you down. Like I said, I think, you get to the point of the game where now fatigue is going to be a factor for those guys playing both ways.
2nd and 2. And they give it right up the gut. And this time it's Shabazz, and he's got the first down.
Central's in good shape with 2 fullbacks. I mean, it's nice to have 2 of those guys, I mean, you can't give a fullback the ball 20 times a game either. That's the kind of the limitation. They're good for, maybe 5, maybe 7, maybe 8 carries, although I would bet that Mr. Lindsay would disagree with me. He could probably tell you he could carry the ball 25 times. But, that is the limitation to the fullback. But when you got a pair of them like Central does.
Lindsay checks back in, and he lines up in the fullback position. And Lindsay gives the block, and this is Edwards up the middle. Edwards is going to go in for the touchdown. James Paris Edwards from 17 yards out, and a good block by Lindsay helps spring him free.
I tell you what, that's what it is, Todd. They're wearing him down. Central's just wearing Highland down, and if they're able to continue to run the ball between the tackles, and quite frankly, I don't see how that's going to be stopped. You got an offensive line getting off the ball, getting underneath the pads. You got a fullback leading up in there, and then you got Paris. He was just flying through there, and it's tough to tackle when you got bodies draped on you, and you got a guy that's as quick and elusive as Edwards.
We could almost see that happening. They had a couple of big runs, hard runs up the middle. Offensive line was really just blowing the defense off the line, and then you have the big run there, 17 yards. 20-13 is the score. They're going to go for two, and why not run it on the ground? And same thing. A conversion successful by James Paris Edwards, and they extend their lead to 22-13.
I'll tell you what, that two-point conversion really hurts because now Highland's in a situation with 10.5 minutes to go. They have to score twice. But I did notice one thing, Todd. Diem's coming back into the game. He's in the huddle for the kick return. He's all strapped up.
And James Paris Edwards helps add 8 on the scoreboard, 22-13 in favor of the home team, St. Paul Central Minutemen. Again, Central took an early 8-0 lead. Highland came back with 12 points of their own, 13 points of their own. It was 13-8 at half, and now Central is taking control here in the second half. And they lead by a score of 22-13. Well, Diem is back
deep to receive.
He's back deep with Empress Watson. And the kick is going to go to Chris Diem from his 20-yard line to the 25. Got a hold on the right side to midfield. And Diem all the way down to the 42-yard line. And we just talked a moment ago, Coley, that he is their emotional leader as well. And what happens, he comes in the game and gives them terrific field position with a great run down the right side.
I'll tell you what, that's what you got to do. You look at the kick, a pretty decent kick. You watch the block right here by Jones.
Look at his acceleration, though.
And just right up in the hole, carried the ball, correct hand. If he could have made one more cut, he might have scored.
Well, Highland back in business from the Central 42-yard line. Mark Mayer at quarterback. And a little screen off to the left to Diem, and just too far in front of him.
Tell you what, great play. Great play by Duncans. He forced the quarterback to throw that ball up over the top, put a little bit too much air under it, and Diem couldn't quite get to it.
It'll bring up a second down. There you get a look at number 4. Mr. Everything for Highland Park.
Heart and soul of that football team.
Running back, punt returner, kick returner. He does it all. And Cole, you talk about being a competitor. You may not have seen it. We're located right above the Highland bench, and when he was taken out of the game, he was just flat out mad. He wanted to get back in there.
He was not happy at all. And, and as a coach, you're looking for that. At the same time, Mr. Zychek is responsible to his parents as well to keep Mr. Diem healthy. And sometimes you have to make a call as a coach that, yeah, maybe you could come back, but maybe it's not in your best interest. In this particular case, obviously, Mr. Zychek felt, and the trainers, whoever assessed whatever injury he had, felt that, were comfortable with putting him back in the game. But that can be a hard call for a coach to make.
It's a long season, and as you said, you don't want to be without a guy that important to your team.
No, that would be a devastating blow to this football team if Diem were to go down. As if you're Central, and who couldn't you lose from them? If you're them, you definitely. Our man. How many different ways has he scored? Made tackles. Perriman is just obviously a huge player for them. And actually, Central's still missing their top back. It'll be interesting to see when he comes back what kind of dimension he adds to their offense, because Edwards has done a very nice job.
Right.
Matter of fact, Edwards has got 41 yards on 12 carries, touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and they've spread the ball around to the fullbacks.
Yeah, 26 Barthez Bernard is somebody they expect to get a lot of production out of this year, and he is yet to play due to a shoulder injury. Kubizeski in at quarterback, and he's going to give the ball on the right side to Watson, and Central not fooled by that, but Watson just squirts his way forward. Tell you, Watson runs so low to the ground, I think Central guys lost track of him.
That was a pretty well-conceived play right there, and that was definitely a la John Heller. I mean, you look at this. This is the
Fake
counter that we're
handoff,
looking
yeah.
at. Good seal block by Sunsmo, and he just sneaks in there. If Mishik could have just gotten out and got a chip off that guy, Watson might have been able to sneak through there. But, I mean, all things being equal, a nice 4-yard gain. Brings up 3rd and 6.
Mayer out of the shotgun. It's a big play for Highland Park. Steps up in the pocket. He's going for it all, and it is deflected and incomplete. Off the hands of Peter Brown, and he just couldn't get his body around.
I tell you what happened to Brown on that one is his momentum started to carry him towards the middle of the field, and he needed to try to fade to the sidelines and look over the other shoulder. That was a pretty good ball by Mayer, but now they're in 4th and 6 situation. You know, you're in a situation where you're down 2 scores, you have 9.5 minutes left, and you're at their 38. You got to go for it here.
Well, that's exactly what they're going to do from the 38-yard line. Again, 4 wide receivers set. They're going to go out of the shotgun with Kubizeski. Turner to the right. High snap, and Kubizeski's going to run it, and he's got the first down. Kubizeski breaks a tackle down the left side to the 10. Another tackle to the 5.
Touchdown, Highland Park!
Oh, my goodness. Highland Park on a 4th and 6 from the 42. Kubizeski broke about 4 tackles, and Highland Park is right back in the ball game.
I tell you what, Todd, you know who made this play was Diem again. If you look at the replay, he didn't get a great block on the guy, but he just got a nip on the linebacker to get you. Look right here. Here's Diem right there on 49. That sprung him, and then it was just a great run, great effort.
They're going to go for the extra point here with Dan Stern. And this kick is up, and he threads it. 22-20 is our score.
I tell you what, mind this. Highland Park has a field goal kicker. Stern can kick the ball. If they can get, within, a 30-yarder or so, they got a chance to win it 22-23. I mean, granted, we got a bunch of ball game to play here, Todd, but what a football game.
Well, as we mentioned, last year's game, very competitive, 27-13. Central regained control of Musket. The year before, 1999, Highland Park won 45-40. 98, Highland Park took that game 33-27. So whenever these two teams get together, it always seems to be a very well-played, tough, competitive game.
Seems like there's a lot of points on the board, too. Only, 42 right now.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, Coley, this game started out very slowly. We talked about that. A lot of penalties, a lot of flags. But as this game has progressed, it's gotten better and better.
Absolutely, Todd. There's no question about it. I think, part of it is, again, you always go back to the fact that you got some young kids on the field who maybe haven't had the opportunity to play varsity football before, and now they're under the lights. And now we're in the 3rd quarter. Now we're in the 4th quarter. 9:18 to go. It's a 2-point game. And you know what? Now they're just playing. Stern to kick off for the Scots.
And Stern takes a long march towards the ball, and kind of a knuckleball bouncing over to the 15 through the legs of Perryman. He picks it up, however, and heads to the right. And Perryman is lassoed down that time. Number 44, Joshua Jones, wrapped him up. And let's see where the momentum is now after that big play by Joe Kubizeski.
Again, I'll go back to special teams. That was a very small thing. You look at that kick. You see the trouble that Perryman had with it. See, footballs aren't round. They're kind of oval shaped, and they don't bounce true. And you take a guy like Perryman and you kick him the ball and you give him an opportunity to look up the field, he can hurt you. Put it on the ground like that. That was a great call by Highland Park.
And the give goes up the middle to the fullback. And again, he pounds his way forward, does Lindsay. Coley, before that touchdown, it really seemed as though Central had just taken control of the game. The offensive line, as you mentioned, was really controlling things. 20-13. I mean, it really looked like they had things in control.
Absolutely, and I think, there's Highland Park still has to come up with a stop here. And if I'm the Central offense, I tell you what, I'm going 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and you got to stop Lindsey, and you got to stop Edwards, and you got to stop Shabazz. And if you can't do that, oh my goodness. Did you catch the block by Lindsey there?
Edwards had a nice hole. But
Jones has got to lower his shoulder. He took a beating on that one. And you can't just you watch the block right there by just open it up. It was a nice play by the defensive end to come down and make the tackle for just a short gain.
Charles Babcock on that stop. We're down to 8 minutes and 23 seconds to go in this game. St. Paul Central clinging to a 22-20 lead here against the visiting Highland Scots. Out of the I formation, Luke Garafola again gives it to the fullback, and this
There's
time
a fumble.
Ball is loose. Let's see who's got it.
I think Central's got it. I think the guard fell on it. Yep, second down. Fumble on the play, boy. That's where you start to gain confidence. You're able to run the ball. And you forget that, that little piece of pigskin that you got, that's your baby. You got to hang on to that. You turn the ball over here to Highland Park on your 33-yard line, and you're looking at maybe you're coming from behind.
Second down. 10 yards to go for Central. Clock continues to tick. 7.5 minutes to go.
7.5 minutes is a lifetime. There's plenty of time left.
Out of the I formation. And the give goes to Edwards, and Edwards is hit right at the line of scrimmage. Good pursuit that time.
Michigan Turner. Well, I tell you what, you know what you got to do if you're Central now. You got to come with a little play action. Although 3rd and 9, they should be expecting it. Highland's done a pretty decent job of now kind of saying, okay, we're going to put 9 guys in the box and make you throw the ball.
Well, every possession really is important from here on in. You can call every play big, but here, 3rd and 9 in their own territory. Central desperately would like to get a first down here. And Garafola drops back to pass, pumps, and he's going to tuck this one in, and he's going to be short of the first down.
Yeah, by about 4 yards. But you know what? Good decision. You're at about the 40. That's a good decision by the quarterback not to throw the ball into coverage, risk a turnover, a tip ball. Now you can bring your punting unit on, and you make them go. You can make them go the distance. You see, he looks downfield. He doesn't see anything. He tucks it up. He did a nice job of covering the points of the football, so he didn't turn the ball over. Not a bad call. Now you got an opportunity. You move the ball a little bit. You picked up a first down. Now you punt it. You put it on your defense.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I'm sure Scotty Howell told him, if there's nobody open, tuck it in. And that's just what he did. 5 minutes, 58 seconds and counting. Barry standing at his 25. A bouncing snap, but he picks it up and gets up a very high but short end-over-end kick. And it bounces at midfield. Highland players backing away from it. And the Scots are going to have very good field position near the 50-yard line. They'll set it about the 48 with 5:41 to go in this ball game. Highland trailing 22-20. What a great way to open up the SPNN St. Paul City Conference football season with a game that's going down the last 5 minutes.
That's exactly the way you want it to be. You see the kick, and you see the Highland guys run. I mean, different teams call different things. We called fire. There's a short kick like that. You don't want to touch it.
3 wide receivers to the left. Mark Mayer looking, plenty of protection. He's going for Brown, and it's incomplete.
And he had him open, and it was excellent protection by the Highland offensive line.
Yeah, great blocking.
Great protection. He stepped up in the pocket, just got a little bit too much on the pass. He kind of ran a post corner on that one, which, that's a pattern where you're going to run to the middle of the field, and then you're going to come back to the sidelines, and it does take a little bit longer, so you got to have that protection.
Second down. Kubizeski takes his rotation at quarterback. Again, 3 wide receivers to the left. Deem the lone setback. Kubizeski going down the sidelines. Incomplete, intended for Watson. You know, Coley, you said a moment ago you're kind of an offensive line kind of guy, and they don't get the accolades they should. Let's give some credit to number 55, Eric Peterson, the center of Highland. He's really centering a shotgun snap on almost every play, and he's putting it right on the money. And he's not a big kid, 5'7", 150 pounds, and he's laying in it. That's an important position in this offense.
It's incredibly important. It is the most important position. If you don't get the ball back to your quarterback, you got nothing. So they're going with the fact that, yeah, he's undersized, but you know what? The quarterback's getting the ball, and he's getting it every time.
3rd and 10. Mayer over the middle, and he's got Watson for the first down. Watson breaks a tackle across the 34-yard line. Empress Watson jumped up for that one, and he gets a big first down with 5 minutes and 23 seconds to go. He just found that open spot in the central secondary.
So that's exactly what I was going to just say, Todd. He found the spot in the zone, and he sat down. You know, as people start to understand the game of football more, if you're in a zone, you can't run a crossing pattern in the zone. You got to sit in the zone. Man-to-man, you continue to go through because you've got a guy on your heels.
Kubizeski in at quarterback, and they give a quick handoff up the middle to Diem. And he is stopped that time by 64 Chris Gustafson. He's been in on a number of tackles tonight. Good for 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Clock continues to tick. 4 minutes, 42 seconds to go. Highland Park trailing by 2 late in this ball game.
They're on the move.
4 wide receivers. Turner and Watson to the right. Mayer looks right, throws. He's got Watson trying to put a move, and there's too many red jerseys. And coming in from behind, Cornelius Tolbert. And he just flattens Empress Watson.
Well, I tell you, you know who hasn't touched the ball in a little while, Todd? Diem hasn't touched the ball in a little while. I got to figure Highland Park wants to get the ball to him. This might be, you know, you're looking at a 3rd and 5 situation. You spread them out. Maybe you give a little screen or a dump to Diem, or maybe go with the draw.
How big is this play? Under 4 minutes to go, 3rd and 5 from the 29-yard line.
Everything's 4 down, so they got 2 downs to get 5 yards.
Kubizeski gonna call his own number. Kubizeski, he's got the first down and spins forward for a couple of more.
Okay, now we're getting into a situation where Mr. Zychek actually has to earn his money. He's got 3 minutes, 42 seconds left. Here's the replay. Kubiszewski, you know what? That's 2 great runs by him. But I tell you what, you talk about these 2 quarterback thing. Is this working? Looks like it's working to me.
Boy, the crowd is really fired up here on the near sidelines. First down, Highland Park at the 21-yard line. 3 minutes, 25 seconds to go. They trail by 2. Mayer steps up in the pocket. Over the middle. It's deflected. It's caught by Brown. Touchdown!
What a play!
Caught a deflection at the 10. He walks in for the touchdown.
That was unbelievable, Todd. I tell you what, Mayer did a great job. He stepped up in the pocket. He led Brown. There was a tip by the defensive lineman. Brown maintained his concentration, made a wonderful grab, and carried it into the end zone to give Highland Park a 26-22 lead. Holy cow. We got to take a look at that again. Here it is, Mayer. He steps up in the pocket. He looks. He finds. There's the tip and the catch. Oh, what a play. Tell you what, the Highland Park made that adjustment. You know the adjustment I was talking about? They were running it in the seam. They decided to run it up the middle of the field. That opened up Brown. Now they're going for 2.
26-22. Kubizeski throws in the corner, and oh, it's almost caught. Went off the hands of Watson. Across the middle, I should say. But they still have a 4-point lead.
26-22 with 3:16 left in the game. I don't think anybody's going anywhere, Todd. I would bet that the people at home, you know, you got a minute here. We're going to have a kickoff. You need to run, grab a couple of snacks, maybe grab another soda pop, and get back to the couch because we got 3:16 left of unbelievable high school football.
You know, Coley, I'm trying to keep score here, and this game has gone back and forth so many times. It's hard to keep score. It's been just a terrific ball game. You know, again, it started out very slowly. Both teams were tentative, and now things have just opened up, and you couldn't ask for anything more.
No, and
And the thing here is what Central has to do is Central can't panic in this situation. And you know what? Scotty talked about it when I talked to him before the game. He talked about when he got down against Johnson, they kind of went with the and we got to throw the ball, but we don't have Hunkins. We don't have O'Connell. What he has to do, and hopefully they're able to do this, is stay with what they're doing. Continue, 316's a lot of time.
Let's see if they try to keep the ball away from Perryman. And Stern looks like he tries to do just that, but it ends up with Perryman at the 20. Look out to the 30, across the middle of the field. Perryman still on his feet. You gotta be kidding me. Perryman down the right sideline. He goes to the 20, the 10, no flags. Touchdown! Touchdown, St. Paul Central. No flags on the play. An 80-yard touchdown run. Adrian Perryman.
Hey, I tell you what, Todd, that's his third. He got one on defense. He's got one on offense. Now he's got one on special teams. And Highland did everything but kick the ball out of bounds. They went with the kick. Hey, you know what he does? He gets right up the middle of the field. You got two missed tackles. There's another missed tackle. And you know what? You get him in the open field. And there's Chris Deeman. He's got decent speed. You're not going to catch Perryman. That is one. I mean, are you kidding me?
What an incredible finish to this game. We're not over yet. There's 3 minutes to go.
I hope the people at home aren't mad at me that they ran to get their soda and came back and all of a sudden Central's winning again.
28-26.
What a football game.
They're going to go for two here.
One doesn't do him any good.
Play action. He rolls to the left side, throwing in the corner of the end zone, and it is caught, but just a little bit too far out of the end zone.
You know, actually, quite honestly, Todd, I got to question that decision to go for two. They're up by 2 right now. If they kick the extra point, they're up 3. Highland has to score a touchdown to beat them. Now, a field goal could win the game. We'll just have to see where we're at. And, again, when you're running the spread offense, Highland Park, 3 minutes is a long time. I mean, we didn't even get to test what Scotty Howell was going to do.
Well, again, this game has been a seesaw, and the last quarter has been maybe the best quarter of action we've seen in a long time here in the St. Paul City Conference. And we're not done yet. 3 minutes and 2 seconds to go. Central now on top, 28-26. And this crowd absolutely loves it. And why not?
How could you not?
Well, let's see if Chris Dean can answer for the Scots.
I tell you what, if I'm Central, I don't kick it to him. No way does Chris Dean see this football.
And the ball bounces right to Deem at the 20, to the 30, and he gets to about the 35-yard line.
Good coverage by Central.
2 minutes and 59 seconds to go. Let's see if Highland can answer.
Again, now you're in a situation where these kids may have never been here before, and as a quarterback, now you see Mayer in here. This is where I might say that the senior might be the guy you want to go with in a particular drive. Now, they made the commitment they're going to go back and forth with the senior and with the junior, and you got to do that because that's what you've been doing the whole game. But here's a situation where that senior leadership, that has to step up. Mayer has to step up and make a play here.
2:59 to go. Mayer out of the shotgun. Steps up in the pocket. He's going to keep it himself. Up to the 40-yard line. Good coverage by the St. Paul Central secondary. That's why Mayer had to tuck it in.
Well, and that's, it's not a bad deal right there. He steps up, he doesn't throw. Central is playing, more or less an umbrella. They got, 5 guys back there that aren't going to let anybody get behind them. They're in a 3 with a man underneath, it looks like. Can't quite.
Kubizeski, quick throw off to the right, and he's got Turner. Turner's got the first down, cuts to the middle of the field, and
blow the whistle.
Whistle this one dead.
Blow the whistle. They got to blow that whistle sooner somebody get hurt on that.
Paul Menard in there on that stop.
Okay, that's the first down. That should stop the clock. 2:13 left. I believe Highland Park has a full complement of timeouts, Todd.
First down near midfield at the 47-yard line. 2 minutes, 11 seconds. Clock is running. St. Paul Central up by 2. Mark Mayer taking his turn at quarterback. He drops back, pumps, looks, and he's going to throw this one out of bounds.
Great job. Great call. What do you got?
He threw that one out and hit one of the cheerleaders who wasn't expecting that ball to come her way.
Come on, she's got to be paying attention. Got to catch that ball.
Watch the replay.
Let's see if we can get it here. There she is. Oh, no, just couldn't quite get it. Uh-oh, they're even going to give
that
her some
episode
ice.
of the Brady Bunch?
You're dating yourself, Todd.
Second down and 10. 28-26.
Quads to the right.
Kubizeski, quick throw off to Deem. Deem is going to throw it himself, and the ball was intended for Watson. Deem looked like he just didn't get enough on that.
I tell you what, he didn't get anything on that, Todd. I think it was like he was launching a grenade. The funny part of it was then the two Central defenders fell down, and had the ball been thrown decently, Watson would have scored. You look at this in the replay, you see the two Central defenders fall. If there's a decent throw, Highland's winning.
I like that call. 1:47 to go. Third down and 10. 28-26 is our score.
And I believe Central just called timeout. Not altogether sure why. I mean, well, I suppose there's stop and play anyway on the incomplete pass. Maybe they're going to change a defensive scheme. You know, 3rd and 10, you know Highland has to throw the ball. You know, this is where it kind of gets into strategy as far as coaches. You know, as a defensive coach, I might bring the kitchen sink, okay? But you understand that when you take that chance, now you got a little dump or a screen or a draw that could turn into a big play. So, you know, a lot of people out there think, oh, you got to blitz to sack the quarterback. You don't have to blitz to sack the quarterback, but quite honestly, Central hasn't put a ton of pressure on the quarterbacks for Highland Park.
Well, as you said, Coley, it's 2 downs from here. 3rd and 10. Do you go for it all in the first play, or you want to get close to the first down?
Well, and see, that's why, you know, I'm thinking screen draw right here, because I think Central might come with a blitz.
Okay.
If you can catch them in the blitz, you can get a big play. You know, if you only get 5 or 6 yards, that's fine.
Mayer, plenty of protection. Over the middle, and
That's pass interference. Oh, my goodness.
Incomplete, intended for Empress Watson.
That sure looked like Lure was over the top there. Although I had a tough angle on it. See if you can get it on the replay here. Boy, that's close. But, you know, the official was right there on top of it, and he didn't think there was contact. Great play by the Central defensive back to knock that away. Well, you know what? Here it is.
You hate to put an end to this game and say it's ever going to be over, but this really could be the ball game here. I mean, it's 4th and 10, 1:42 to go, and it's do or die right now for Highland Park, and we're going to talk this one over.
You know, not a bad decision to call the timeout. At the same time, had they saved it, they would have had 3, and in the event that they didn't get the first down, they could have potentially gotten the ball back.
Yes.
Sounds like it's spelled? Spelled like it's sound?
Flanagan.
Buck 42. I tell you, Todd, I've just had a wonderful time. What a great football game. You know, we don't know at this point what's going to happen because it's 4th and 10 and they're in a timeout. They could get the first down. They could not make it. They could score a touchdown. These kids played their hearts out, and they have a lot to be proud of.
And to your point throughout the game, a lot of these guys are young players, their first experience playing varsity. And what do they take out of this, being in this tight game situation?
I tell you, win, lose, or draw, in this situation, what you gain as a player is that now you can say you've been there before. I was there when it was, you know, 4th and 10 with a buck 42 left in the game, down by 2. I was the quarterback. Here's the senior. Here's Mayer. And, you know, quite honestly, this is the guy you want.
4th and 10, 4 wide receivers to the left. Mark Mayer drops back to pass, looking, under pressure, and down he goes. St. Paul Central comes up with the big sack on 4th
Gustafson
down.
and Duncan made a heck of a play. he tried to step up in the pocket and roll out a little bit. That's where you get into a little bit of trouble because the block is coming. The linemen are pushing their guys outside. When you step up, you got to step up. You can't step out. Mayer kind of stepped up and out, and I think he was kind of looking to see if he could make the run. Wasn't sure where he was going to go with the ball. So with $1:35 left in the game, Central holds a 2-point lead in the ball. Highland Park, I believe, has 2 timeouts. They can only stop it twice.
And let's give credit to the Central defense. I mean, they came at it hard, and there were 4 jerseys wrapped around them. And Central obviously going to keep the ball on the ground.
You know, and I tell you, we had talked about it, Todd. You know what Central didn't do? They didn't blitz. They stayed with their base package. They covered with their umbrella, and they didn't put themselves in a position where, you know, you blitz, now it's a hit or miss. It's either maybe a home run or, you know, they're going to knock one in on you, and all of a sudden you're going to lose. I give credit to Central and their coaching staff for, you know, sticking with their base packages.
2nd and 8, 1:30 to go, and St. Paul Central, main goal at this point, Coley's just hang on to the football.
Well, absolutely, and I think, you know, now you put the ball in the hands of the guy that you know is going to hang on to the ball. And I'll tell you what Scotty Howell's saying right now. Lineman, you get off the ball. Okay, you get off the ball. You don't give anybody, because that's where, you know, you get into a problem where someone hits a quick seam and all of a sudden they disrupt the handoff. So the linemen are key right now, and then 2 hands on the ball.
Let's thank the great folks from Liberty State Bank who sponsoring tonight's game, and what a great game to sponsor. This has been really a classic.
Thank you, Harold Peterson.
And
Shabazz
goes to Shabazz, and he gets up near the first down, 1:22 and counting.
I think 1:22 left. I think Highland just called their final timeout. We got third and about 3. So it's conceivable that with just a couple of seconds left, Highland might get the ball back. And we see the athletic director from St. Paul Central came up in the booth to get the musket. I think he thinks he's going to hang on to it. We're not quite sure yet with a $1:22, but it's looking pretty good for Central right now.
Back in the late 70s, Joe Pisarcik, New York Giants.
I remember Miracle at the Meadowlands. Who returned it?
Herman Edwards.
Herman Edwards, number 46. That's right.
Yeah. You know, that changed the game of football. Now you always see a guy 15 yards back just to prevent that.
Absolutely.
Who was he handing off to?
That's a good question.
Larry Zonka.
Ah, you got me on that one.
How about that?
I'm coming next week with some trivia for you.
1:22 to go. 3rd down and 2. Out of the I formation. And they give the ball to Shabazz, and he is met right at the line. Bounces off a tackler, and he's got the first down, staying in bounds.
Super heady play by Shabazz. I tell you what, I talked about it. They got the penetration right off the bat, and that could have been a turnover. But what Shabazz did when he got outside, he recognized don't go out of bounds. And you watch right here. Watch where he just turns it back. I'll just take whatever I can get, and I am not going out of bounds. That's a cardinal rule for the running back in a situation like this. And this pretty much seals it now. I mean, Central will just kneel on the ball. They picked up the first down. Highland can do nothing to stop the clock. We're under a minute. But, you know, I got to say, congratulations to both teams. Coach Howell and your coaching staff and the St. Paul Central Minutemen. Fantastic football game. Coach Zychek, you know what? You guys got your first touchdown. You got your first 4 touchdowns, and you played a whale of a football game, and you showed that the spread offense can work at Highland Park. Your kids have a lot to be proud of, and you know you're going to win some football games this year. Obviously, you know this is going to be a disappointing loss for you, but you know, great job by both teams.
Coley, we did a game here last year on SPNN Central, actually against your former team Arlington, and it went down to the last second of the game, and your guys lost. What do you tell your kids after a tough loss like this? Just 10 seconds to go on the clock, and there's a shot.
I don't like that.
Garafola was putting his knee down, and one of the Highland Scots.
That's hard.
Right at him.
They're losing. Well, in reference to your deal, I mean, we scored with no time left, I remember.
What do you tell the kids? I mean, if you're Dave Zychek here, the guys played a great game. What's he say to them?
You know, all you tell them is the things that you did really well. And the fact that, you know what, all you can ask of a high school football player, all I ever asked of my players is to give their best effort. If they can walk off the field and say, I gave my best effort, I don't care win, lose, or draw. Because, we talked about it earlier, football isn't the be-all, end-all. I mean, this is a game, and it's a game for kids to play. And certainly when you're on the field, you make every effort to try to win. But it's not everything. And, what these kids are going to take from the sport of football has nothing to do with who beat, Central or Johnson or whatever the deal is. But at the same time, it is hard because that's what they're out there doing. They went out there with the intention of winning a football game, and unfortunately it didn't happen.
Okay, well, we have the winning coach down on the field with Dan Flanagan. Dan, let's take it away with Scotty Howell.
You ready? Go.
Hi, I'm Dan Flanagan here with SPNN Sports, and I'm here with Scott Howell, the winning coach from Central. And Scott, just a couple questions for you. First of all, congratulations on the great win. What adjustments did you have to make in the locker room? Was it a tough first half for you, and then they came back, but what adjustments did you have to make?
I think the big adjustment, we'll take that. Thanks. Thank you. I think the biggest adjustment was 21 for them, who was getting open all day in the first half. We just had to make adjustments to finally get somebody and roll over so somebody can play some defense on the kid. He was killing us.
Who would you consider the key to tonight's game, the victory tonight?
Oh, I think there's no doubt it was Adrian Perryman. I mean, he played great special teams for us all night, playing defense for us, playing offense, made a big catch on the offensive side. And so no doubt about it, he was the key for us tonight. He just played one heck of a game.
All right, next week you got a tough opponent coming up with Cretin. You have some great momentum heading into it. What are you gonna have to do to carry this over? Obviously, that's going to be a tough game.
I think the best thing for us next week is we're getting a lot of our unhealthy people back, hopefully healthy again, and getting them back into the rotation and things like that. It's difficult when you got key players out now. We got some key ones coming back next week, and I hope that's going to help us a great deal. It's going to be a tough game for us.
All right, well, congratulations on the great win and keeping the musket at Central.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dan, that was Scott Howell, head coach of Central. I'm Dan Flanagan, and now back up to the booth.
Well, thanks, Dan. And Coley, I asked you a moment ago what it felt like to be the losing coach. How do you feel if you're Scott Howell?
Hey, I tell you what, and I guess I've been on both sides of it. You go over and you look at the kids. And that's what it's about, Todd. I mean, it's about the kids, and there is no greater feeling. I mean, I can remember talking to my guys on the way home from a bus ride when we won a game, and for me personally as a coach, that was the greatest feeling I had, is watching the joy and the excitement on their face as we take that bus ride home to go back to our locker room victorious. I mean, it's just there are very few feelings in the world like it. It's something else.
Well, this game, if you stayed with us for the whole one, you'll know this is a game worth watching again. And you see on your screen the replay time. Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 3rd, it'll be at 6 o'clock. And then again on Sunday, and that'll be a noon kickoff. There's not any other competing games that day, is there?
No, I don't think so. No, the Vikes are playing Carolina, but I don't think that counts.
I'll tell you what, they'll be hard-pressed to match the excitement and fun of this game.
I'll tell you right now.
And then again on Wednesday night at 7:30 will be the next game of this. But I'll tell you, this was really a classic. I would expect that this game will be shown perhaps more than just those 3 times.
Without question, it'll be shown. And I do believe you can call SPNN, and you can actually purchase a game film. We don't have the number right off the top of my head, but I'm certain that most of the people that are watching this game can probably use the phone book and give SPNN a call. And I know that a lot of the players and the parents from Highland Park and Central will definitely be calling to get a copy of this one because it was a beauty.
Coley, let's talk for a moment about really the player of the game, number 22, Adrian Perryman. This, by all definitions, is a coming out game for this young man. I mean, there wasn't anything he didn't do, and he just turned the game around with his big plays on defense, interceptions, touchdowns, kickoff returns. I mean, there wasn't anything that this guy did not do. And I tell you what, there's a lot of colleges in this area that should take a look at this game.
Well, and I tell you, the thing that makes it so special is that he did it in a variety of different ways. And if I'm Coach Howell, I'm sending this tape out to every single coach that I know that needs a player like him. He did it on offense. He caught a touchdown pass in the first half. He did it on defense. He took one back in the second half. And then when it looked like maybe Highland Park took the momentum, maybe Highland was going to win the football game, he takes a kick. And Highland did the right thing. I mean, they squibbed the ball. They didn't want – I can't, fault anything from Highland Park. And he picks the ball up, and he takes it 80 for a touchdown.
Interception for a touchdown. A reception for a touchdown, a kick return for a touchdown. This is the Metro Player of the Week, I should say, maybe even the State Player of the Week, if there is such an award.
Oh, I tell you what, he better be the Care 11 Player of the Week because, if you were here to see this was something special. This kid put on just a great show. And, but there was a bunch of other kids that played, fantastic. How many great catches did Peter Brown have? The one right at the end of the game to give Highland the lead right before Perryman's return for the touchdown. The fact that, this is the debut, so to speak, of the Highland spread offense. And you know what? They showed they can do it.
Well, this has, again, been a wonderful game, and we're so happy we were able to bring it to you live here tonight on SPNN. Thank you all for joining us very much. Once again, our final score in a great football game. St. Paul Central 28, Highland 26. So long, everybody.
Good night.